Welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast, which is brought to you by my guys at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. Hopefully you guys are following them on the gram at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets, and if you're not, you need to do that. Also, if you want to check out more about their badass helmets, go to simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com. Today's podcast is with some good friends of mine, Jason Hallman of the Garage Built Podcast, the Torque Television host, and the editor of the new Torque magazine, as well as John from Hardcore Cycles. You guys know who that guy is, who is also one of the hosts of the Torque Performance television series. So it's a great podcast with some good friends, and I'm glad we got to slip this in Sturgis and all the mayhem that was going on. So right before show in a small room, we tried to get this conversation done. So let's get right into this, into the ads so that we can get into the show. Here we go. House of Harley Davidson, located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, has been run by local riders since 1972. The House of Harley team has taken care of me on many occasions, from my recent bike purchase to my 131 crate motor install last year. I'm excited to have them on as a podcast sponsor because their website, houseofharley.com, is a great place to get genuine Harley Davidson parts and motorclothes gear. And yes, you can drop the Fast Life offer code to receive nearly 13% off your entire order. If you're fortunate enough to be in the vicinity of the dealership, to take advantage of their service department, which is top notch, and they are known for cranking out some killer motors and builds. So once again, check out houseofharley.com, drop the Fast Life offer code, and give them a follow on the gram at House of Harley. The team at Lex & Moto continues to deliver high quality products backed by top-notch customer service, all while supporting the motorcycle community. The G16 is Lexon's flagship Bluetooth headset, which rocks a 16-rider comm system, music sharing, and Bluetooth 5.0 technology. Their complete line of Bluetooth headsets from Lexon have some of the loudest speakers and longest battery life on the market. Head on over to lexon-moto.com, where you can apply the Fast Life offer code, which will save you 15% on your purchases, and give these guys a follow on the gram at Lex & Moto. ThunderMax has your EFI equipped Harley Davidson covered with their auto tuning ECMs. I am running it on the new Road Glide, and as soon as the cam chest shows up, all I need to do is upload the map provided from ThunderMax that matches my setup, and I'm off to the races. No dyno tuning necessary. They also offer a must-have product for the M8 touring models, which is their oil cooler fan. This will help keep those engine temps down on those hot days in traffic or ripping across the desert. You can check out all these products and more at shoptmax.com, where you can also drop the offer code FASTLIFE, which will save you a nice 10% off your online purchases. And if you're in the Nashville area, this August 29th, ThunderMax teamed up with the IG group Club Style Tennessee to host the page's first year anniversary at their base of operations in White House, Tennessee. You should definitely check that out. Electric Lighting Co. is very excited to announce the arrival of new additions to their Color Series collection. The all-new Color Series LED headlamp lineup is available in your choice of 3 different colors: red, blue, or gold, and are 100% plug and play. Their 5.75-inch version offers 2200 lumen low beam and 4000 lumen high beam, while their 7-inch version offers 2600 lumen low beam and 4400 lumens in high beam with a full halo ring. These all new designs will enhance the visibility and style of any bike. Best of all, Electric Lighting Co.'s high quality LEDs are backed by their limited lifetime warranty. Electric Lighting Co. has your lighting needs covered from front to back. Head on over to their website, namscustomcycleproducts.com, where you can drop the FL 2021 offer code, which will give you free shipping on orders over $75 and a free t-shirt while supplies last. Check it out. And last but not least, you can catch the S&S team set up at Born Free this year, August 28th through the 29th. Swing by, say hello. If you can't make it out there, head on over to their website, sscycle.com, and take advantage of their Shop by Motorcycle link on the site, which allows you to filter through all of their products and see what fits your bike. Also available on their website, if you're into custom knives, S&S did a collab with White Knuckler, which launched this month. Only 200 knife and belt kits available for those true S&S enthusiasts. And don't forget to give these guys a follow on the gram at SS Cycle. Thanks for checking out our sponsors. Please, if you get a chance, go check them out. Check out their links, their offer codes. There's lots of great things in there for you guys to take advantage of. A lot of great companies. So yeah, let's get into this podcast with the Torque Magazine staff. Here we go.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
It's been a minute since we did this.
Yeah, it has.
Last time I did it with you was at your shop.
With Daryl.
Yeah, with Daryl Huxley.
Yeah, we're in town. You were just going to see Cody or surprising?
Yeah, we were surprising Cody. Yeah, for his brother's memorial. They didn't do one this year just because everything's been so crazy. But yeah. So not that I haven't fucking had a bunch of crazy shit going on.
It's been a wild year.
Yeah, 2 years really, if you think about it.
I mean, last year felt like it was crazy, but it felt like you got a pass to go do whatever the fuck you wanted.
I kind of felt like that. That's a good way to articulate it.
And then now it's like we're playing catch up for what all the things we should have been doing last year.
Yeah,
but we didn't do because we were having fun, or at least I was.
Yeah, I mean, what were we supposed to do last year? They were telling us we couldn't. This was the only. This was the one. Yeah, but this was the one thing that everybody could go to do this. If you could get yourself to Sturgis, you could. It didn't feel like there was anything going on, and now I feel like they're forcing it.
I wish I would have came last year.
Yeah,
we would have loved to have you. I mean,
I wish I would have came.
I think you're gonna. This for the foreseeable future. I would think you're gonna.
I'm
gonna
be back. Yeah, without a doubt.
So before we get into too much, I really wanted to touch on the show that you created. Before we roll into the magazine and the Torque television.
Okay.
The show has become kind of like the staple of the performance motorcycle scene, starting with the Daytona show, right?
Correct.
And what do you think helped kick that off? Was it because the Skinny Tire Bagger build-off was the second year, wasn't it?
Third year. So basically, I just made it about bikes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I wanted it to be performance-driven. You know what I mean? As much about the motorcycles as possible. Less, you know what I mean? The less bullshit involved with it. You know what I mean? I had to get sponsors because it costs money to advertise. It costs money for the fucking event insurance. You know, you had to have some business aspects of it without a doubt. And I'm not looking to make money off any of these shows. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm trying to break even. This one, I lost. You know what I mean? Because it's my first year out here. I was anticipating that, of course. But it was definitely about the bikes. Everybody had a good time. You know what I mean? We did the burnout thing. You know
we had a good bike count.
We had a decent bike count for first year out here, without a doubt.
There's also a lot going on. To be fair, in Sturgis right now, there's literally shit going on everywhere. And I don't mean shit like bad. I mean
stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And that's like, I'm out here. You know what I mean? But I'm fucking busy, you know what I mean? I'm having fun, without a doubt. But there is so much going on.
It's like a high school reunion where you're trying to walk around and have a real conversation with everybody that you've grown up with and haven't had a chance to talk to. So it feels hard to nail yourself down to anything.
Correct.
You want to be here and you want to be there, but then when you get there, it's like I put a little bit too much emphasis to be here. I should have just stayed there. But it's kind of part of the Sturgis shuffle,
correct,
if you will.
And the other thing we do is, like, I don't judge. You know what I mean? I talk to all the judges. You know what I mean? But every show we get a handful of judges. You know, they go out. There's a number on the tag on the handlebar. They come back with their tag. It makes it. You know what I mean? It makes it a little bit more real. You know what I mean?
As far as the Daytona version of your show, I feel like that has been a reinvigorating thing to Daytona itself,
and that's how it started. I was sitting at Willie's. Willie's has some cool Dynas, some cool FXRs, but it's not really. It's not a performance-driven thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And a lot of the one-day events that were cool. You know what I mean. Whether it was chopper or performance, they all went away.
Yeah.
So we sat there and said, someone's got to do something cool next year, and we did it. And it was me and Jeff Holt having the conversation. Mm-hmm. So we talked about it. You know what I mean? We were sitting there where everybody pisses over by the barbecue stand at Willie's.
Yeah.
Going, you know what I mean? Something. We need something. Yeah. So that following year is when I kicked off the show over at Destination.
Yeah. So. I haven't had a chance to be there yet because my first Daytona experience wasn't my favorite.
No, you do fall back to that a lot. But it's funny. I had a lot of conversations with people.
I know. I don't know the story. I know you don't like Daytona, but I don't know why.
He
didn't have a a good ambassador when he came.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
If he would have, he and I barely knew each other at that point.
Yeah.
And if we would have had a more more of an opportunity to have FaceTime together. I wasn't spread so thin, but I wasn't there the whole time, and we kind of missed each other. It was like he said, you have to kind of remain fluid when you're at these fucking events, and don't try to obligate yourself so much. And good luck on that for me, but you try to explain to people that the most important people in your life, other than your family that live with you, are your motorcycle friends and family that live around the world. And so this is the time where we get to break bread and spend time with each other. And so, like Jay said, when you see somebody, you want to have like this
in-depth conversation.
Conversation, or this intimate moment where you're like, you don't have all this outside fucking thing going on, but all it is outside thing. It's a difficult situation.
And with me, being from the north, like, it's cold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So from like mid-November, end of November, we're kind of, once they start putting that shit on the road, you know what I mean, we're kind of fucked.
You're out of you're out of commission.
You know what I mean?
I understand that northeast kind of antsiness that you get.
Yeah.
And you could tell that at about February, January, you guys turn into big assholes, man.
Well, you're from Texas, and I can speak on this because I grew up in Texas. That you guys get to pick whether you want to be West Coast, Midwest, or you have it's a very weird dynamic. You guys have lots of options because there's this mindset for people that grew up in Texas where Texas is a republic. It was at one time, so you have this mentality, and people, they kid about it if they're not from there, but when you're raised there and you realize that it's a pretty serious thing. So a lot of people favor, instead of where he grew up and where I grew up up north, they go to Florida for the winter, right? But you guys on that part of the country mostly go to like Phoenix and Albuquerque and
California and stuff,
Utah, and places where it stays warm year round and it's more of a temperate climate.
And Daytona is definitely an East Coast thing. It's an East Coast vibe. It's what I mean. And
it's my favorite.
I can understand like someone going there that doesn't have somebody to show them, like, you know what I mean? Because dude, you get the fucking hookers downtown. You get, what I mean? It's just like Daytona. You know what I mean? It's
Daytona is sketchy.
It's a sketchy
that's
town.
What I like about it.
Yeah, I love that about it.
In the morning, and your feet, you can hear your tennis shoes sticking to the sidewalk because of all the fucking.
Dude,
that place is great. I don't know. I've had some good times there.
Years ago, I was stuck in a traffic jam over the Speedway, and I'm like, fuck, I'll cut through the ghetto. I cut through the ghetto, and there's a cop right on my ass. So I'm like, all right, just stop at every stop sign. Well, I came to a complete stop, and a fucking hooker got on the back of my bike. I'm like, get off. I'm like, you ain't get, you know what I mean? I'm like, dude, I'm like, this ain't happening,
Right, yeah.
I'm like, get the fuck off my bike, I'm like, what are the odds, you know what I mean? But it's a fucking sketchy.
Wow. It's funny when you get, and when you get off the main drag in Daytona, it's the same thing that happens here. I mean, we all have our little secrets of how to get out of here. Like, you don't know them yet. It's your first year, but I can get all the way to the other end of Lozelle, and to get my daughter to JP Cycles, I just hop through I alley hop, and I know where all the side streets are, right? Same thing
that's
you
like
do here too.
People
are like, oh, I was in traffic for an hour and a half. I'm like, well, you're a dum-dum because I go around all that shit, and I do the same thing in Daytona. I'm never on the.
And like I knew whatever happened to Daytona, it was a negative, but like when you're sitting there all fucking winter and you hit Daytona, you know what I mean? All the little seafood places, the palm trees, you know what I mean?
See
the
a couple
loop.
Girls in some shorts.
Yeah, dude, it's just like you're there,
That was probably what threw me off, is that when we got there, it was one of the coldest years of Daytona.
It was.
Oh, okay.
And so we were trying to camp and do what we do in Sturgis.
Yeah.
It just was a bad experience. But for me, it's always been unfair because I didn't have an ambassador. It was my first year. I didn't know what I was doing. And it was like an in-between period, too.
That was the Ace Cafe year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Ace Cafe. That was fun.
Yes, but it's 2 hours fucking way.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have... I hate that Orlando does that, and they do that every year, and it's really weird.
Yeah.
I sponsored that year.
For real?
And, like...
Wasn't that through Giselle?
Giselle and Jordan, exactly.
Okay.
So, but it was the day I was getting to town. You know what I mean? So I was trying to figure out how to, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I can't set up over there, you know what I mean? So, and then everyone's like, oh, it's 2 hours away. I'm like, I'd like to get to it. So I made it over to it. It was a cool event. I had a blast. There were some cool bikes there. Everybody, you know what I mean? Everybody was...
I've heard it's a killer venue. It's just...
Dude, that show was...
But that's not Daytona.
No, it's not at all.
That show was kind of like... It was the first thing we went to before we even went to Daytona, so we were like, fuck, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So we're like stoked as hell to get to Daytona, and then fortunately we hooked up with Jeremy from Lucky Strike and Scott, or fuck, I forget his name, Steve Yonkin, that has the red flamed out performance bagger.
Yes.
And we partied with those dudes the whole time, and that made it fun.
Yeah.
So I missed being there with them again, but like this, the Parrots Paint Show that year was kind of a lot of drama going on, so that didn't work out too well.
I've never been to that.
I'll go into it tomorrow. We're going to present a Torque Award there, but Daytona is, what's different about Daytona and Sturgis is this is, you have bookends on, like, they're within a year or two of each other, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's the 80th in Daytona. Or so. It might even be the same.
I think it's close to the same.
So the 80th was this year at Daytona. This is the 81st, okay, right? Yeah. So then the spring, like every 6 months, right, that number changes. But that is, people go there for a different reason than they come here, except for industry people. But there's more substantive industries things here that don't happen there. Yeah. And there's things that happen there, obviously, but that's more of a party. Yeah. And that's the only way I know how to put it. It's because people say there's no good riding in Florida. Well, I fucking live there. There's plenty of good riding. And it's just different riding. You're not going to get, I mean, it's hot, flat, and dumb. You're not going to get the rolling hills and the mountains. And, people that have never been out west, you've never been out west, right?
No.
So, I mean, when you get to the other side of 80 and you're like, holy shit.
Well, in PA, we have decent riding. You know what I mean? You have the mountains, you have the Poconos, you know what I mean? It's different.
It's tight.
But, like, I love the riding in Florida. Like, dude, and I don't even stay in Daytona. I stay like 30, 40 minutes north in Palm Coast, so I get to ride every day. You know what I mean? And that's, like you said, we're caged. You know what I mean? You're like a fucking animal by the time we get down there. You know what I mean? We're working on our bikes. It gives us time to do all the cool shit, you know what I mean? The motor work, you know what I mean? Without losing riding time. But, like, at the same time, dude, we're jonesing the ride. So we get down there, that's why I'll always stay out of town. You know what I mean? Well, that's not true. We used to stay in the shitholes.
Yeah. Right. Well, we found panties in our bed.
Like, you know what I mean? Go to get
there's like, some disgusting little rental houses.
Dude.
But those are the fucking times that you never remembers the time that we went and did something and nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So these types of events, the activation schedule is much different in Daytona. It's much tighter in Daytona. Here, I can tell you that from all the years I've been coming, and I don't know if you've noticed this year, but it seems like the activations are far-reaching. Like, some of them are going out of Sturgis, and I think that has to do a lot with the bureaucracy that goes in here and the taxation that happens here in Sturgis.
In town,
And so you see, other competing communities like Keystone and Deadwood and Spearfish that
ever since the first time I've ever came here, I've always felt like there was a presence of Sturgis within like a 100-mile radius of downtown Sturgis, right?
Yeah, that they all consider that Sturgis, where they don't do that with Daytona.
Yeah.
And that was my first thought, was, dude, this is so spread out compared to Florida.
Yeah. And it's like it makes it hard to ride, to do things, because it really is a convergence of motorcycles from all around the world to this thing. And but I mean, my first year, dude, I was like, wow, like, this is the first time I ever felt like welcomed as a motorcyclist. Because we used to do Rot Rally. Rot Rally's in like a campground or like a venue.
That's an old school venue event.
But then when you leave Rot Rally, you're in Austin,
Hill
which
country,
is
right?
No, it's not even close to it. It's still 100-something miles away.
Okay.
But you're right there in Austin, which is like a city that never got their infrastructure shit together as far as like roads, and it's just overcrowded. And now it's like time. I haven't been there in like 5 or 6 years, and it's even worse now. So they've had a hard time keeping that going. And Lone Star actually in Galveston actually became a much better place to go than Rot Rally. But Lone Star's kind of like the end of the year for us. Like, there's no more rallies because after Lone Star it's Thanksgiving and that type of stuff. But
and you guys get winter too.
We get winter, but
it's a weird winter in Dallas.
This last year is the first year we had snow in like 5 years.
Wow.
So and it was
fucking
the first
cold,
year we had snow like that in my entire life.
Wow.
We were hung out for a day or two.
Yeah, dude, it was like a week solid with snow on the ground. We've never had that in my lifetime in Dallas. So, and then, it's just been a crazy mess. But, what was awesome about it is, like I said, that show, your hardcore show came at the right time when this scene that essentially kind of grew through Instagram and what it feels like a lot.
Well, it did. It grew through this podcast.
Yeah.
It grew through your camp out. I think that one of the things that you've done really well, and not to fucking, I'm not trying to, how I feel about you anyways, but you, for all of our flaws, you're a bit of a Pied Piper, that letting people know that they can come and do this and have fun, and it doesn't have to be everything they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You allow that in and out of the circle of people that contribute to the performance industry. Is you're not holding them to, you hold them to a standard when they're doing what they're doing. But you have friends that are bankers and lawyers and stuff like that that come in and out of, and you're invited. Yeah, you want to come to the camp out? Come to the camp out. This is what we do at the camp out.
I just want to show people the fun of riding motorcycles and not being so
Linear.
political
Yeah.
in the political side of motorcycles, whether you're club people or business side, where everything you do has to be some kind of financial gain.
No,
it's like
I agree with
sometimes
that. I think that's a hard piece to
being a
hard to
biker
teach.
and realizing what got you into motorcycles in the first thing is the thing that helps people carry through. Because I mean, you're going to notice this if you haven't already. Throwing these shows, they're going to get bigger. It's going to be more now with the Torque magazine and television. That's going to get bigger, and you're going to realize, like, fuck, man, I didn't even get a chance to ride in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
It's been business, and doing 200 plus podcasts. When you talk to these legends in the motorcycle industry, you realize that after they talk and we talk about bikes and they talk about their past of when they used to ride. At the end of the conversations, it's usually like, man, I miss
riding.
that.
Yeah.
I want to do that now.
One of the guys I was talking, one of the big industry guys I was talking to yesterday was like, when I get here, it's work.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, so I literally have to extend my ride as long as I can before I get here, because that's my that's my enjoyment.
I think that's why the hamsters do it right when they do the big ride here.
Yeah.
Is that it kind of
he was
like
one of the hamsters, actually.
It pushes them to have like the experience that makes them love motorcycles, and then they can go be the industry
business guys.
people.
That's a group of people that that they really do. I mean, they're really about motorcycling.
Yeah, they ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
they ride without a doubt.
It's kind of a weird thing that there was like 600 people in that room last night.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird. I mean, there's a lot. There was a lot more people than I thought, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I didn't realize that they had that big of a footprint.
Yeah.
I mean, you see,
Yeah.
you go to all these shows and you see the yellow shirts, and you're just like, oh, the hamsters are here. And
The industry night over at Michael Lecter's.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you just
they,
said
and they
the yellow
support
shirts.
each other, and
Yeah.
you know that because of the yellow shirts. But it's like the thing that you're trying to always promote all the time. The group that you run in always has Dixon flannels on, but I mean, it's there is definitely different factions. I noticed something this year that there's a lot more people that I haven't seen in a lot of years than
Back around.
the last 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that? People that almost 20 years ago when I started doing this, and you would go to a show and an activation, there would be this person who put that show on, or there'd be this person from this magazine, or it'd be this person, and then 08 happens. You still come here. You don't see them for 5, 6, some of them 8, 9 years, and then all of a sudden they're back there, which it could mean one of two things: either that's they're here for the right reasons, or here for the wrong. It really
Might
kind
have
of
to
made
rebuild.
Yeah,
And that's probably
go back to their own corner. Recenter themselves.
The influx of the industry people here this year might be because of that. You know what I mean? Like last year, dude, business wise, I killed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my business was booming last year. This year, I can't get enough to sell.
I think this year is just like a tax write-off for all the money people.
I don't
wild,
I don't know enough about finance to make it a real.
Does this not scare you though? Like you always got to feel like the ramp up always has a fucking either fall off or a ramp down. So
correct.
it's like
it's got to crash.
You hope that people, just like in the chopper days when everything was going up, they don't start overspending and building their business bigger than they can manage if it drops down. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So don't go ahead and get that semi. Don't get the.
This feels like 2000 in a lot of ways. It feels like 2008 to me, and so I'm very cautious about. I mean, cautiously optimistic. But it's like, I don't know, in child psychology they talk all the time about children. The only thing that you're born with a fear of is a fear of falling.
Yeah.
But certain things happen when you're in utero, like gunshots. There's kids that are born already know what a gunshot is because they hear it in their mother's belly.
Yeah.
So there's like this intrinsic fear when they're around that situation. Well, it's like PTSD is the only way I know. Like, I'm not trying to put that much weight on it, but it inherently, I go to work some days and I feel like, shit, like this is scary.
Like when we interviewed Brian Clock for Torque, and like him, discussing like the ups, the downs,
the double down, the triple down that he's done. I mean, I can't
even
remember. He told us some stuff on air and some stuff off air that was preferential treatment. But that guy, I will tell you this, and I would have no problem with him. I mean, I don't think he'd be upset with me saying this, but he's all in, and I'm all in, and you're all in, and I know you're all in. So that's what got us through
when you
the last
when you see somebody,
piece.
I I consider that man extremely successful, extremely driven in this industry.
He's successful by the people he keeps around.
Correct, yeah. And when he talks about like the ups, the downs, and the almost fucking quitting, you know what I mean? That's
Dude,
that's.
I've wanted to quit so many times and couldn't because there's no way to unwind. It's like trying to peel a grilled cheese sandwich apart and put the cheese back in the cellophane. I can't do it.
As you know, like I started this business in 2013, ups, downs.
I was just going to ask you that because that's a different. Like you started in 2013, there hasn't been a down yet. I mean, you've had down here.
I've had downs.
What I'm saying is that is a country.
No, economy-wise,
right?
Exactly.
And so I can tell you from 2007, 2008. This is what I'll tell anybody that's listened. Guys like Chris Rang and Gillette and and Tony at Rebel's Den, and some of the shops that have come up in the last 6-8 years that just fucking keep your head down and keep working. I got through it. And I never laid anybody off. I never lost. I didn't ever lost a home or cars. They never come. You just have to fucking grind.
Well, I think right now with the type of bike scene that it's kind of morphing into, it's not so much about a show of growth and money and wealth. It's more of a show of just participation.
It's less conspicuous consumption, like you said, than was before. If everybody was buying
those choppers were
status.
They were status symbols.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when people are like, "Oh, this performance thing, it's the latest trend." Like, no,
it is. But
I remember being 17, buying my fucking, my hunk of shit 84 FXR. Yeah. You know what I mean? And trying to make it faster, trying to make it stop faster.
Well, that's the thing. To touch a little bit about that. That's kind of that's been a really complicated topic of this performance industry for quite a while now. But to be fair, there's been so many pockets. And like hanging out in New York, like these dudes that's been their life for 30 years, 40
forever.
years, running FXRs, running these type of bikes and stuff, and then the same thing in California, the same thing in other pockets of America, right? And wholeheartedly, like that is the air quotes OG status of it is these people the only people that know these guys are the people that grew up around there.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Well, and that's what we were talking about earlier, how Instagram changed that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like performance has always been, I've always wanted to go
all
fast.
of the innovation, the way I look at it is like this. I'm glad that part of the 65% likes the performance baggers and the performance twins because they help finance the innovation because it costs so much money to build a new style caliper. But if you're going to sell 100 of them and 75 of them are going to go to dudes that are just spending money and building a bike, and there's nothing wrong. I'm not shitting on those guys. There's dudes, 35% of the people are going to use that part for its, to its limit, like maybe guys that ride with you that are really riding hard across the country. But the fact that the money's there for the innovation, it lifts everybody.
That's one thing I try to
money
do.
Into the pot.
That's one thing I try to push back on the performance guys is when they, they're like, don't big wheel bagger our performance baggers, right? And I agree. I don't want that kind of mentality around, but I do want that kind of money around because it's gonna make some. It's what keeps the industry rolling and growing. And that's what also keeps.
I want to buy some cheap used bikes in about 6 years. No, here's the thing that I'll say about that. And you are a champion for that cause, and so that's why I support you so ardently when it comes to that. But it's already starting to get to where we have teams. I feel like there's already like these lines being drawn. Like, well, this person's got this, and it's all. And I'm not mad, and I'm not mad, and I just wish that there wasn't any of that. I wish that there was. I wish there was a way for the business model to be such that, we could park here at this venue that we're at now, and create a lot. And I know that you're not in favor. There are some people who want to set up for the whole week. There's some people that want to set up for a show, right? So I wish we could have a performance show on a Tuesday here, a chopper show on a Wednesday here, a vintage show on a Thursday here. And Monday, you know what I'm saying? So that we didn't have to move our operation around, and different people could come in. You have guys like Boosted Brad could come here and set up for a day, and the next day, Rockford Fosgate could come in here and set up for a day. But it's like you said, it's like everybody, the corporations want to pay for the big money downtown because they're going to get the most people to drive by them. It's like the difference between impressions and clicks and
likes and shares.
What do they call that? Where you actually go to somebody else? That's a click. Where you go to somebody else's website. So there's like 3 different layers of that, right? It's just I don't know. It's kind of
Well, like I was saying to you the other day when we were having a quick conversation, it's like, I think that right now in this industry, motorcycles specifically, when it comes to media, when it comes to a lot of things, is we need to be the Jeff Bezos at the beginning of the internet. We need to think like he did. Okay, this is how books have always been sold through stores, and they still will be for the next 5 years. But if we start doing something different now and going and trying new things now, then we're already 5 years ahead of the next curve.
Yeah. I just don't know what that. I'm not articulate enough. I'm not a visionary.
It takes time sitting down and me saying this to you and you saying, well, what about this part? I'm like, well, okay, well, let's think about that one part right quick, and you figure shit out.
Well, that's why I give Jeff G a lot of credit for that, for being the V-twin visionary, because he, out of necessity and a lack of resources that he had, as far as, but he had his social media and his connections and his reputation. He was able to parlay that into these pop-up shows, and he's the archetype for that. I mean, he really is.
And it might be the precursor to whatever's going to come up next. Because sometimes people will create something, and then the next thing you know, something gets pulled from that creation. That like, think about it. Facebook comes around, and then all of a sudden
Instagram is a little bit easier and less. It's more impactful, but it's less impact to use.
So you needed Facebook to happen so the Instagram can happen.
Facebook's that's the Facebook's the sun. Instagram's one of the planets, right? Yeah. And so I don't know what the next thing is for our industry. That's why for me it's like I've taken on this magazine, this TV show, still doing my full-time job that I do, and trying to put on activations that I've never done before. It's like everything is just coming at me like at the beginning of Star Wars.
When I left the big wheel bagger world and tried to make a name for myself in Dynas and shit, I took a loss. I took a big loss to do that. But that loss paid off within a year. So the thing that I'm trying to get at is like when these companies try something new, they have to be ready. Like, look, we're going to have to take a loss this year. We're going to have to try some shit.
Well, they're going to have to. You have people that are trying to you have people keeping their jobs, and any decision made purely in the interest of self-preservation is usually a bad decision. Yeah. Unless it's fucking grizzly bear is going to eat you. You have a choice to run. You know what I mean? But I mean, in business-wise, there's so many people. They're culture vultures that come through
the bigger corporations, they're not willing to take that loss.
They aren't. And
you know what I mean? So it's the little guys.
I think it's because in the bigger corporations, we're talking to someone that has to talk to somebody else.
Correct.
And they're
the
scared.
layers don't allow.
Yeah, but if you talk to the owners, the people that run shit, they're like, I'm interested in this because I understand profit and loss.
Well, if I can give you an example, that happened to me 2 nights ago. So we went downtown to that Scott Jacobs gallery, and there was a little black tie affair there that we were invited to go to. So I go down there with my daughter, and we're standing there, and this gentleman approaches us and starts talking to us, and he works for the company that was putting it on, and we had a nice conversation. We used their product in the shop, and we thanked him, he thanked us, and he goes off. Well, so another guy comes up just checking on us to see how we're doing, right? And he's like, do you have a card? After I explained to him about what we're doing with Torque and all that, he goes, do you have a card? And I said, unfortunately, I don't have a card, but I can do you one better. I went and grabbed a magazine and gave it to him. He looked at the magazine, rolled it up how you would normally roll up a magazine to kind of like put it under your arm and put it in your pocket or something. And he goes, I'm the vice president of the company. He goes, obviously you can see that we want to be invested in what you're doing, like the performance scene. He literally said the performance scene. And he goes, you will be hearing from us on this. So that's somebody that is, and I had several conversations with some of his other team members, and one of the things we talked about was the larger the company, the more opportunity there is for somebody to put that on their resume out of college. So you have companies like Harley that are literally taking on in their mind's eye, I think they're thinking they're getting fresh talent from colleges, but I think what they're actually getting is people that can't get other jobs out of college, or people that want to put their company on their resume. You want to put, if you're a graphic designer, wouldn't it be great if right out of school you could put Harley, you spend 2 years there, and then your next thing was with a fucking shampoo company, and then it was with a company that builds like high-end hair clippers, whatever it is, but it's like a bedpost notch, right?
Well, it's like that meme but that quote from Elon Musk recently about drug dealers being the best businessmen, right? Yeah.
Dude, you ever seen how they stack their fucking money? You ever dealt with a drug dealer? I'm being honest. Dude, their ones are all facing the right way. There's no, I know when somebody
they understand profit and loss a lot better.
Yeah, they understand profit and loss, but
the repercussions are a hell of a lot more serious.
Yeah. Customer comes into my shop and they hand me money stacked right. I know that they have dealt with a fucking drug dealer. Yeah. So I know that sounds crazy, but that's the truth.
True. It's the truth.
The thing is that that is the thing. A lot of corporations are firing experienced people, hiring 4 interns out of college or something like that.
For the price of one professional.
So that's kind of like not to be doom and gloom, but that's kind of this. If you want to go down a conspiracy.
There's a lot of people in this country, though. There's way more.
Yeah.
That's happened a lot in even the motorcycle industry from brands.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. I see it. You know, Robbie Lane called them culture vultures.
Yeah,
and they really kind of are.
You get these people that are trying to come in and they just don't understand the scene. So I get people trying to market to me saying that, hey, this show that's going to take place in your town is going to bring 12,000 people to it. I'm like, bullshit. I haven't heard anything about it, and it's in 2 weeks, and you think 12,000 people's coming to this show? You didn't do your job right.
Yeah.
And these people hire these outside marketing teams. They don't want to keep money inside the motorcycle industry and use the things that are there, like that magazine or this podcast or these other areas. They want to hire some off the reservation type companies to do all that shit.
Because that's where the innovation is going to come from. And it just shows you, and I had this conversation last night. People don't realize that got this industry. This is the smallest. I've said this. How many times have I said this?
1 million.
Well, it's the smallest billion-dollar industry I can think of. Name me another.
We're up to $1 billion.
Name another one where when the shit hit the fan, there was enough food for all of us to internally support each other. I don't know how it happened, but I mean, you stayed in business. You've been in this business as long as I have.
I didn't make a lot of money back then.
Neither did I. I still don't make a lot of money.
I could have survived off. I think when that happened.
Sure, but there's any other number of ways of doing. What I'm saying is this industry is big enough that we can all support each other from the inside out, because we did. A lot of people quit riding in 2008. Yeah. I'll have you know. Like there's people that bought those big tire choppers and all the things that happened before the big wheel baggers. That, dude, there was a couple years, I have to tell you, that it felt like there was nobody building a custom motorcycle. Jesse Rook built a couple. David Covington always stayed busy building a couple. Guys like that. Yeah. But the average chopper shop didn't.
You speak on that right there. There was that
5 years.
Really narrow window of a trend that I was in sport bikes at the time. I mean, we painted Harleys, but my affordability was in the sport bike culture.
Right.
But you had the Jesse Rook coming out with those wild ass bikes, and then you had Roland Sands that was building some really badass things.
He's another one.
And those bikes were like fuck, like maybe I want to get into building stuff, and that's kind of when I went from like trying to be a stunt rider and a drag racer to let me customize this bike with whatever skills I have. And it was kind of influenced through.
To be fair, Roland doesn't get the credit that he deserves for doing performance twins. He doesn't.
Yeah, he was ahead of his time, 100%.
Way ahead of his time.
Did you see that Chief up there the other night?
Oh, I have a blinder when it comes to.
Oh,
he can't look.
He can't look at those. He can't look.
He still hates it.
That was insane.
It's like when you see a boob on TV. It's blurred. It's just like it just doesn't allow me to see it the way I'm wired DNA wise.
Yeah, it just won't allow it.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Where do you stand on the BMWs?
I don't know that they exist. That is just like it's cut out.
Okay.
He doesn't even have that channel.
It doesn't have that channel?
He doesn't have that channel.
The premium network.
So we need to flip it through.
All the basic cable shit. Dynas and FXR.
Right? Now, those they look cool, but I mean, I don't have enough bandwidth to have to really
like a lot of things.
Well, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that it's not my cup of tea.
No, I get that. I find it paradoxical that you don't, as a journalist, which is what you are. You're a reporter.
Mm-hmm. But I'm like a CNN reporter.
Oh,
he just picks and chooses what he tells.
No, he's only on one thing.
I'm fabricating my own story, brother.
Oh, I got it. I just find it's perplexing to me that you don't appreciate other things.
Well, if you look at it like bandwidth, like you have enough space in your head to tell the best story you can. If you try to shove all these different things in it, there's no way you can actually get to the real roots of what this is about to share the real nuts and bolts of it. Because for me to share anything about that BMW, I'd have to go ride it. I'd have to go meet people that are riding. I need to know the community behind it and all this other shit, which is not possible. There
isn't a community behind it yet because it's brand new. But I'm going to ride it.
As far as like BMW riders go, like you just said, research, bandwidth. I'm a fucking weirdo. I got OCD. You know what I mean? Like a lot of us in this industry.
Yeah, I never fucking noticed.
You never noticed that. Yeah. Between my ADHD and my OCD, I'm fun to be around.
Yeah.
So like,
got any more acronyms with you?
Yeah, right.
So I was looking for heated gear, fucking, I don't know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, so I could, you know what I mean? And the best people that fucking did the research on it was the BMW guys. Yeah. Because they literally ride 100,000 miles a year.
When it comes to BMW off the road, I love
venture
those
bikes.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm trying to go through my memory bank, and it seems to me that you were long before the Pan American was like actually going to really happen when it was a concept bike.
I'm totally into that. But
you were talking about that.
I'm dying to get one of those.
My last bike was between a GS and the Road Glide. So the 19 Road Glide, I was on the fence.
I'm not losing my mind.
But I mean, when you say BMW,
they have
and
a
you
bagger
say
now.
they've had a bagger before.
Yeah,
not like this.
No, this
is not that is directly marketed to guys like
this. Yeah, this is a Batwing. This is a Batwing.
But so that motor that they got, there's no fucking. I mean, it's sticking out.
Know.
How are you going to turn it? It's not the same. We are not the same.
No, I get that part of it, but listen. I don't think there's anything wrong with more people putting a company like BMW putting some money into the cruiser market that doesn't look like any of the cruisers they've ever done.
Which I respect more than making a cruiser that looks like every other one's been done.
Yeah, I mean, BMW, find something wrong with a BMW.
Yes.
No, honestly.
Looks-wise, the one without the fairing looks like a Road King. You know what I mean? The other one looks like a Street Glide, looks-wise.
Yeah, but I think the one that
I do agree that, like what I think you're trying to say, I do agree that having these types of bikes come in and be marketed towards this crowd, it does help push pressure on Harley to make better products, which I'm a loyalist to Harley just because that's, I'm an enthusiast first and then a podcaster and everything else second. So, and there's enough people, there's enough media out there where you can get somebody that's really non-biased, which is I am biased. That's why
you're not unbiased.
I'm biased
you're
very
biased. I mean, you ardently support your. Yeah. I'm saying you're not unbiased. You're very biased. You're like, this is what I like, and I mean, you'll listen to me when I tell you why I think something's better. You listen to what I say, I don't think I've ever changed your mind on anything.
I'm sure you have. I mean, I try to. Someone I think one of the guys that hangs out with you had said something to me the other day. We were at the FXR show. He goes, "Hey, Jason, man, I just want to thank you. Listen to your podcast, man. I don't agree with everything you say, but I really do enjoy that you do it." And I'm thinking to myself, like, what don't you agree with? And I'm like, well, because
when are you going to agree with everybody?
And I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, to me, I'm like, well, I wonder what it is.
Don't read the comments. Someone
I was thinking, like, well, because I do my best to only put out things that I have experience in. I only talk about things that I have experience in. Therefore, I can be wrong about an opinion I formed over my experience, which I'm willing to have a conversation with someone else to see a bit, which I've done millions of times.
I think if I had to find where the root of that statement would lie in is, like, I'll be honest with you, like, when you talk to painters, you guys have a tendency to pontificate about the bad things that happen in your painting world. True. And you do talk above my head and outside of my level of interest, just because I don't understand what you do, like the process, and I would just rather you paint my bike.
Yeah, the layers,
or have James.
Well, that's why it makes it hard for us to do podcasts with painters, because people don't. When you start talking, like, it becomes a very niche-based listenership, like 4 people that want to be in paint. Just like when you do with a photographer and all these other things. But, like the Rogan thing, like, I don't listen to every Rogan podcast.
That's what I was just going to say. I mean,
but there's a podcast out there for everyone within our channel.
But you're the Rogan of what we do. No, I mean, it's quite honestly.
With you being, trying to back up here a little bit, with you being the Harley enthusiast that you are and the loyalty that you show, would you ride an Indian?
Yeah,
and give a fair opinion on it?
There's been a fun thing going on with me and Instagram and Kyle.
I know, I love it.
Friends,
but we're really good friends, and I don't look. So the funniest thing was I shot his bike for the magazine, right? And then Indian reached out to my Fast Life Visuals Instagram page and was asking lots of questions. We really love this bike. Can we use these photos for blah blah blah? And I'm like, yes. And I thought in my head, like, what if they know who I am and they're trolling me right now and they offer me like a free Indian or some shit? Because they just give everybody Indians. And I'm like, man, like, I could be the ultimate badass and turn down a public offer for a free Indian.
Well,
or I could be the biggest sellout and take one.
No, why? But no, I think that's. I think you could actually be the most honest person that's ever ridden one.
We got
nothing
one.
to lose.
Yeah.
We just got one. It wasn't free. It was heavily discounted. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna bullshit anybody. I mean, we got it direct from Indian. It was a marketing deal, but I wanted one. You know what I mean? I truly wanted one. It's got like 70 miles on it. It literally came days before we left. So the balance point's different, you know what I mean? The handling's a little bit different. The power is impressive.
Yeah.
And it's still 100% stock at this point. I had a guy walk up. I had it next to the booth yesterday. I had a guy walk up and said, "Hey, is this yours?" He's like, "Fuck, man, I'm dying to get one." I'm like, "Well, what are you riding now?" He's like, "A Road Glide." He's like, "I put $67,000 into my Road Glide. I rode one of these, and it handles better."
Well, it's because you put fucking pointy chrome on there.
Karaoke.
No, I actually rode a Dirty Larry's Pan America a couple days ago, and I didn't really like that either, to be honest with you. It felt too...
I don't think that's a bike that would tick my boxes at all.
The Pan American?
Yeah, that's not the kind of riding that I would want to do.
I mean, to be fair, the suspension was really soft, so it was kind of just...
Yeah. I don't like the tall
It was
bike.
that, and I didn't ride it far either, so let me be real clear with that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just like that old Harley guy that just loves the
Well, how was the pickup? How was the performance?
I mean, it was there, but
it was
my
quick.
131, I feel like it would have been close. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say it would have beat it, but I'm saying like you wouldn't have left me.
You used to be into tuner cars.
Yeah,
At the same time, I mean, I was into muscle cars.
Muscle cars.
And I
Does she know the guy behind your shop?
No, I don't think so. No.
He motherfucks the guy behind his shop with the fucking tuner cars like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, dude.
I was into tuner cars.
I think
like,
they're the most miserable fucking hobby on the planet. I don't have any respect for them at all.
well,
Zero. I wouldn't care how fast they were.
That world went from the Honda Civics and the more baseline cars to the Supras, and then when the people started importing Skylines and RX-7s.
Okay, I can appreciate a Supra. I can appreciate a Skyline. That's a supercar.
And then those kind of cars started coming around, but then as that stuff got boring, then all these other trends started to evolve out of tuner cars, like the VIP stuff and the stance shit and all this crazy stuff. I'm not into that either.
No, but I just don't like four-cylinder car. I don't like anything that's not a V8 except for a Grand National. End of.
Cars in general, I don't like. You know what I mean? I have no interest in. I mean, when you do car analogies, I'm fucking lost.
Every time I tried to get into cars,
dial that back.
Every time I've had 2 Grand Nationals that never got on the road. I've had 2 C10s that never get on the road. I love them, but I don't have
like pickups.
I don't have the bandwidth.
Cars
to
are
invest in
very different. Set of you could spend the same amount of money on a car as you do on a bike, and it would take you for fucking ever to do it for some reason. I don't understand that. But.
Yeah, that's part of it, man. But that's when I realized, like, I'm just, if you think about it like this, did you ever read that Malcolm Gladwell book, The Outliers?
Outliers, yeah.
If you're gonna put 10,000 hours into anything you do, if you spread that across 50 different things,
you're an idiot at all of them.
You can't really.
You're not good at anything.
Yeah,
what you're good at is spreading yourself thin, and nothing ever. You never achieve any of your goals, and all of your people that are relying on you never see you come through for them either, because you're.
To some people that do like to go boating and jet skiing and all this other shit, I don't have you do. You have fun.
Yeah,
but I'm trying to build something here, and so photography, motorcycles, podcasts, everything's is circling around the same thing. Everything feeds into the same thing in hopes that putting 20, 30 years into this, I'll leave something A behind, or B, be able to have the life I've always wanted.
You're well on your way to doing that. With Torque, I'll be honest with you, like, I don't want to say I didn't think it was going to be a lot of hard work. I didn't think that for a second. I thought that it would be a little less arduous towards the end of trying to get
different word.
Yeah,
difficult. Like, it scales up. Like
vocabulary.
So he's got a book of like rich people words.
instead of getting easier the closer it got to the deadline of things, it got harder.
Yeah.
I didn't think about the fact that we're creating. I didn't buy like my first magazine. Kit, you know what I mean? You end up with, Chris is like, no, every word in this magazine, someone has to write it. Even the little stuff at the bottom of the page. And he's like, what do you want to put on the binder? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. How about an enthusiast? Whatever. I don't even remember what it was because I needed help at that point.
Yeah, you're done.
It's like everything was a funnel. Everything was coming into a funnel.
Yeah.
and there was only room for one person at the end of the funnel tip to collect all these assets and put them together. And I kept getting in my own way, and I'm hoping that the second issue will go better, and the third and fourth and so.
Well, I think now that the first one's kind of it's sitting in print, it's being distributed.
It is fucking cool.
It came out badass.
It came out killer.
I think now
it came out badass because of your help and your help.
Yeah, and everybody that's been in there. So. Yeah. But I think now that you can look at it and you know the process, then it's easier to place responsibility on certain people.
Hopefully,
you know what I mean.
Because I hope that they let me do that. I hope that guys like you and Mark and Natalie and Jeff and everybody continue to contribute, because it's not about anything other than what we're out there doing. I mean, there's people, you talk about it more than anybody, about people, Chris calls them the 65%. You don't call them the 65%, but you have your own way of alluding to them. They're the people who don't get to go do what you do and what you do and what I do. Mm-hmm. And that's a way for us to rope them in and go, here.
Yeah, check it out.
Maybe you don't have Instagram. I meet people that don't have Facebook and Instagram. Well, okay. Well, you don't have that, so you're not going to follow us online and see what we're doing. But here you go. Yeah. Here's a little bit about Jace. Here's what Jace does. There's the pictures he takes. These are the bikes he rides. This is the kind of stuff. This is the stuff that John does, because you do a very different thing than I do. We have motorcycle shops, but your motorcycle shop's way different than mine.
Oh, without a doubt.
My motorcycle shop's way different than yours, even though yours is technically a motorcycle shop. It's
just a man cave shop.
Well, but that's where you do what you do. You've got an amazing studio upstairs, and then you've got your work studio off to the side. I mean, it works for you. You're an artist. That's the one thing that people don't give you enough credit for. Like, everybody talks about how good your helmets are and how good your paint jobs are, but they don't realize that you're kind of fucked up because you're an artist, and so you hold it together better than most. But people forget that about you because you don't put that out there. You're not like
I think I think about that
like a weirdo about being an artist. Some people that are artists are very, very socially awkward.
It's very hard to call yourself a photographer, an artist, anything that's always a label that other people are allowed to give you.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you give it to yourself, when you say, "Hey,
it's like giving yourself a nickname. You can't do it. You get your friends to give you a nickname, and it's going to be a shitty one.
It's going to be hard.
When I was at the industry party walking around, I finally got a chance to. Me and Michael Lichter have been talking for a year now, but I finally shook his hand, and we're gearing up to this podcast probably in a couple weeks. Walking around and looking at all his pictures on the wall, it's like I feel like I take good pictures, but then when I see what he gets good pictures from, like my pictures are good because we set the bike up and we set the lighting, and this dude's able to find art.
Dude, he's been doing it 50 years.
Exactly.
And it's just something that's in his soul.
It's unfair for me to consider myself a photographer when there's guys like that do that shit. So instead of, you don't need people don't need the labels. The labels don't pay your bills. They don't do anything.
Correct.
You make the work and let the work just be out there, and then eventually when you get old and maybe you evolve into that class of like, that dude is a photographer, that dude is a custom painter.
Yeah.
I'll call myself that, but
I see
artist.
I see your future. This is how I see your future playing out. Honestly, you will have some sort of a storefront that's literally not open to the public very often, but it's got your artwork in it, your helmets, those things, a couple bikes on display. There'll be a podcast studio in there. You'll paint somewhere else when you want to do that. But I foresee you being in that space.
That's like a vision of something I would like.
Well,
but one thing that my life has shown me is that 5 years ago I had no idea I'd be doing a podcast, and I had no idea that would be a part of my income, and I had. You know what I mean? There's so many things.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. So maybe you can't visualize it, but I'm looking. I tell you this all the time too. The one thing I don't have about myself, and neither of us have about ourselves, is that I don't have a perspective of how I'm viewed by the world. I know how I view you.
Yeah.
I view you as you're very in your thoughts. You're pretty linear.
Yeah.
Like you're very predictable. For an artist, that's something that's not. For someone who is as talented as you are, that's not a very easy thing to do because you're not a druggie. You don't, you'd like to drink, but you don't. I mean,
I have my shit together.
You have your shit together. Exactly.
I think that's because I consider myself a motorcyclist first, and you're
also married, and your wife's only going to put up with so much shit, just like my wife's only going to put up with so much
shit.
An
artist,
and your wife's only going to put up with so much shit.
When I think
but
about
your
guys,
wife's very artistic too.
Yeah.
She does hair, and she doesn't just fucking work at Fantastic Sam. She's a legit. You know what I'm saying?
So when you look at guys like Steve Gibson, Arrow Oil and Lead, and name your hundreds of other guys, like these guys. I'm generalizing and I'm assuming here, but I feel like when I've been around them, they talk about art the way I talk about motorcycles, right?
So they have a different muse.
Yeah. So to me, I feel like the art they put out is on another level than mine.
It is. It's on a whole different.
I look at my art like that's my job,
separate.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that's just what I look at. Like when I wake up every morning and I go to work to do this thing.
Here's what happens with guys like you, and I can't draw a fucking stick figure. I mean, I look at what you do, and you ever been in a room and someone plays live music and it's just like it's like a family party or something, you know what I'm saying?
How do they do that?
And you're like, you just find yourself smiling watching them play, even though you don't even care about the song. They're just good at what they do. That's how people see his work. And you haven't worked in oil yet, you haven't worked in watercolor, I mean, but you have the ability to do that kind of stuff where you can just, you know what, here's my photography, I'm gonna put my camera in the bag for a while and I'm gonna work with oil. And you're gonna I know how you are, you obsess over things too. You're very much an artist in that. And so you'll get to where I bet you could fucking do an amazing oil painting once you learn it. You know what I mean? Like
I don't graffiti, have like
you're a tattoo artist too, weren't you?
For a while, but
I know that didn't fill your bucket. It didn't fill your bucket, but you know, obviously, but it doesn't mean you couldn't do it, and you're probably great at it. I bet you didn't do any shitty ones.
I think the thing that I liked the most, and the reason why I fell in love with photography was the just capturing all this amazing shit that I get to see.
Yeah.
But B, like, man, when you take a picture of somebody or even someone's bike or any of that shit, and you give it to them,
it's pretty intimate, isn't it?
they're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like when I shot that bike yesterday for Hans, the FXR, he was, we're doing the photo shoot, and this is the first time I really ever shot a bike that I didn't really have anything to do with.
Right.
And he was telling me the
story
story
behind
it.
Preconceived notion of what you want to see.
Yeah.
Make sure you capture that too, because like the words, I want to know those words.
Yeah, I mean, there's a really great story behind it, and I'll let that be for the magazine.
Yeah.
And
I heard the story. It was
moving.
Yeah, it was.
It was moving.
And so while we're sitting there doing this shoot, I'm nervous as fuck, like goddamn, because it was not the best lighting out there, and I'm like, I just hope to God I get some badass shots. I did get a bunch of badass riding shots of that bike. But yeah, I mean, just out there doing it, it's like I want to come through for this dude on this bike in this deal.
Yeah.
So there's a challenge there. There's something there, but yeah, I mean, when you do take photos or you give whenever I look on Instagram and I see a lot of my friends have a photo I took as their profile picture, I'm like, fuck yeah.
That's
like
awesome.
That to me feels great.
That's what it should feel. That's
so it's that same feeling I had when I first started painting, and then we'd all hang out in the garage and I paint all my buddies' bikes and shit. Not making any money. It was just like, dude, this is what I want to do. So while I have to charge for paint because that's my livelihood, this is something that maybe isn't as impactful and it's not like a paint job on your bike where you're gonna go to bike night and everyone's gonna suck your dick. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but this picture could mean something to you because you got something cool at a certain time. And
I think you have a tendency to get in your own way in some small ways that once you figure that out, that'll just come. I did the same thing when I was your age. You and I are 10 years apart, so I remember very well where I was at 10 years ago. And I will tell you that where I'm at right now is a much different place, and it's a good place. It's not any better or any worse, but you're going to find something that's, I mean, I've told you before, I think if I walked into a shop that the wall was lined with helmets and they were all different and they were $1,500 to $3,000 a piece because you painted them, I would expect to pay that. And I think that you marginalize your ability sometimes because you are so focused on what you're doing right now, and that's good. You need to be focused on what you're doing right now. But I see that for you in the future. I hope for that for you in the future.
Yeah, I love everything I do. I'm always looking for a better way to do it, or a more efficient way,
you don't get in your own head to where you're like, oh, I'm good. I don't need to do this. I'm at the top of my game. You never do that.
That thought process. A lot of people would say I'm very cocky and arrogant, but there's also a lot of people
you're not toxic.
Yeah, it's like I don't walk. I mean, if I'm drunk, I grew up playing basketball, dude. We talk shit on the court, and that's part of my DNA. I did that shit for 15 years of my life.
I know.
And so
you didn't grow up
when it comes to shit talking with friends, I'm good at that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes people that don't know me come around and they're getting that part of me. Oh, that dude's an arrogant, cocky prick. I mean, yeah, but when you walk up to me and say, "Hey, man, I love your paintwork," I'm not like, yeah, well,
everybody does.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
No, why not?
I mean, if anything,
no shit.
Yeah. No, it's not. I don't feel that at all. I feel like our friendship is in a place where we can fucking bust each other up.
You have
bad.
to.
Dude, you're not friends if you can't break each other's
Dude,
balls.
I'll just remember I had a rough night in December when him and Britta were staying at the house, and I am cashed out on the floor of my kitchen in nothing but a pair of pants. And I'm laying there and I hear the door open and I just hear Jace go. And he just goes to bed, dude, like 3 a.m.
That was a fun night.
That was a fun night for everybody else but me. The next day was bad.
I'll say one more thing about that before we roll into the magazine and the show. But I keep my close friends around because they keep me humble. Yeah. Right. They show me love and respect, and they honor me, if you will, when they know it's time, when I deserve it. And they bust my balls in between. That way we all stay on the same page. And that's what I love about my friends and the people I keep as company, is because when we ride bikes, we all respect each other and what we all bring to each other's lives. And then that allows us to, not get too big of a head or feel like we're the most important friend in the group or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
But don't let somebody outside our group come in and start clowning.
Yeah. That's how it is sometimes.
Fast.
Hey, you don't say that about him.
Yeah, dude, he's my idiot. Don't call him an idiot.
So it was this year. I mean, after the hardcore cycle show, I mean, this stuff, this whole Torque Performance thing was kind of like manifested
very organically. So I can tell you where like the impetus of it came. When I approached him was Chris and I have a mutual client, the High Seas Rally. And so I was helping him do some video work down in Port Canaveral, where we're going to ship, where the ship leaves from. And on the way back, we had spent the day doing some stuff, and I had chewed his ass as a friend about time management and respecting his own time and making his time. I talk to you all the time about you got to get paid. We sell squares of time. And him kind of undervaluing what his time was worth, and. So he was sitting in the other seat, kind of a little surly from me telling him, like, look, dude, and his wife was in the back, Heather, and I said, just out of nowhere, I go, have you ever thought about doing a second magazine that was performance based? And he looked at me, and he's so pissed. He's like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And I was like, I'm just asking, dude. Heather's in the back, like, just like, oh my God, like, what are we gonna fucking do? She wanted to stab me in the neck. She said that a lot, and I said, he goes, I don't have anybody to run it. He goes, every time I get somebody that wants to kind of help us, they can only help us. They're good people, but they can only help us this long or this much, or and to scale that up, I didn't know how much work it was going to be. I still would have done it if I would have known how much work it was going to be. I want to say that. But I told him, I said, I'll run it. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. You just got to be patient with me. And so he's like, you're gonna need a right hand man. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't want one right at first, not because I'm a control freak. I didn't want to go into something new arguing with somebody about how it was supposed to be. And so you and I talked about the live stream, and then you and I talked about the magazine, and we kind of did those clubhouse things. And there was some times in those clubhouse meetings, I think, where there was a big difference of opinion of where we were going with it. And I understand that. I understand why you need it to be what you need it to be, and I want for the part that you do in the magazine to be what you need it to be, because A, I want you to do it, and 2, I want it to be authentic. I don't want to ever be like, I would love to go, hey Jace, can you go ride the new BMW for the factory and give me a report back? But you might not be the right guy to send to that one. But you understand what I'm saying. Like, I want to be able to give assignments out to people and go, you know what, that's not really in my wheelhouse. Or you to go, you know what?
Jace let the BMW on the side of the road.
I can't do this, but how about I go shoot this? Go shoot this somewhere or whatever. Same thing with you or whatever. And so I think we've come up with a good representation of a way to create something that doesn't have to go away. Chris, I don't care what anybody says. I'd say it if Joe Teresi was in the room, if Dave Nichols in the room, which they're back into the mix, right? Chris is arguably the most successful magazine guy because he didn't quit. And so he's either out of his fucking mind, which we all have to be a little bit, but he didn't quit. He evolved with the digital thing. He understands the digital thing better than most people do.
He does.
He can explain it in a way that I can kind of understand it, but the magazine is, I think it turned out great.
Yeah.
You did the cover shot, and you did a lot of work inside it.
Yeah, I mean, the writing, for me, like it was to tell you a quick story about when I got that first magazine. I took it back to the campsite, and all my buddies that helped me start the camp out were sitting over there. One of my closest friends, James, wrote the article for it. There's a lot. The pictures that were used was a little bit of writing, a little bit of partying, a little bit of a lot was going on, and so we made Dragon. We made him read it out loud to everybody, and there was like all of us sitting there. Like
campfire stories.
Yeah, and you could tell like some people. I wouldn't say they were getting emotional, like crying, but you could tell them they were like just glued to it, like because he wrote. I mean,
he did very well.
James is very articulate.
Very little to do in the way of editing that, just for.
So he laid out the precursor, the first one,
through.
And he really told a good story about it. So. That writing is something that I know I've said it on the podcast before. It's something I really want to get into, but writing for me is like reading. Like I have a hard time reading and I fall asleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I write, unless I've had a few beers, I really have too much shit going on up there to write. But it's something I really want to do, because when you write, even if you like want to make videos, when you write down what you want to make, it kind of makes it real, and then it gives you a real understanding of how to shoot it and things like that. Because video is something I want to get into heavily, but that's a huge time thing.
You're very good. You're very good at getting your point across verbally. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Come in.
Housekeeping.
But what the trick I use is to the trick I use. Hey, buddy.
Kevin Baxter, is he supposed to be here today doing some YouTube shit?
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
Yeah, we're almost done. We got like 5 more minutes.
Setting up vendors and shit. I'm waiting for you before I split.
Okay.
So.
All right. I'll be down there shortly.
Everything's almost good. I don't know what to do with this guy. I'll go.
Okay, does he have a company?
Some YouTube bullshit.
I have no problem with him doing it as
That's
long as
right.
we get it.
We'll get it going.
Yeah. So the trick to that is if you speak into your phone, into the notes, and then you can just import that into a Word document, and then you just wordsmith it there. That's where I clean them all up. That's how I do that. So that's what I told, because
you mentioned that to me, and
James
that's probably the only way I'll be able to do it.
Yeah, James at Alleyway, I told him he was having a hard time, and I'm like, look, dude, same with Jessup. I'm like, look, take your phone out, go into the notes section, just talk. Talk into it. Send it over to me, and I can edit. I can clean it up, or you can clean it up yourself.
Can you? Does it automatically put it into Words if you put it into something like that?
Yeah, you just cut and paste it. Copy and paste it, and just email it to yourself. And you pull it out of your computer, throw it into a Word document, hit F7, it'll grammar and spell check it for you, get your word count, and be good.
So, I mean, the magazine is the newest part of Torque, right?
Yeah, it's the smallest part of Torque, probably.
Yeah. And so the video stuff, I mean, that's been going on every Thursday since May?
No, we've had 15 weeks. So we've had 15 shows, right?
15.
I want to say it started in May, though.
I thought we started in April.
I feel like we were still talking about it in April.
The TV thing was pretty easy to scale up pretty quick because it's you're not.
Yeah, so
it
would be May, June, July. So we probably did start the beginning of May.
Yeah, because I feel like it was right after the camp out, which is at the end of April. And trying to make, I mean, I understand. I don't understand from doing it, but I understand by watching it that trying to turn it into something different than a podcast or
I want it to be episodic. I want it to be something that people have. There's some standards in there where they know they're going to see a tech, they know they're going to see a new product feature, they know they're going to see the From the Gram segment, get a little bit of a laugh. We're going to have a short long form interview, still the same format, right? There's only you can just talk, you ask questions, you get answers. I like to limit it to one guest because it allows us to get a little bit more in depth. He prefers two, but I've got to do a better job at, and this is going to come in time, like giving John a little bit more leeway on booking guests and having interviews that people that he's got. Well, I mean, we have a communication deck that everybody doesn't see that we can communicate during the show. Yeah. So we have like our own little shorthand that we've developed where I know when he needs to ask a question. He knows when I need to ask a question. He knows when I want him to take it. Ultimately, somebody has to have kind of the reins of that. So I direct the show while Chris produces it. Yeah. And we've asked Chris to come on for news because the news is the same on Shop Talk as it is on. So we want to try to build it as a network piece, so that it has some continuity between the brands.
Yeah,
but we know that the same people aren't watching the Cannonball Chronicles and Coast to Coast with Chris Simmons. I think a lot of our people cross over. I know a lot of people cross over from Shop Talk to Torque, but Torque is still real new, and so
Yeah, the one thing, man, went with Instagram really trying to push into more video segment. That's their next big push. If they really do open up the ability to do more live stuff with actual equipment and not just your phone live bullshit, I mean, that would be one of the saving graces for brands like mine. I know yours, where we've amassed this decent following.
But you can use Switcher too. That's something I would recommend for you.
Dude, I was using that yesterday.
Switcher's fantastic.
It was easy.
So you can produce an entire multi-camera fucking show from a couple of iOS devices, and you've got assets and credit rolls.
And it works on Instagram?
Fuck. No, it doesn't work on Instagram. So what you have is an RTMP feed.
Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping that they get to that.
They're talking about it, but I think they're worried about devaluing their space on Facebook for that.
No, with that,
but you can go to YouTube Live at the same time too.
Does that save as a video on your phone?
No,
it doesn't.
No, I mean you can if you want to.
Because I remember when I was doing it yesterday, it said recording and live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll save that.
You can record it. You can do it. Hold on. So let me back up. You have a choice of that recording, because that's what I did at BRL.
Yeah.
Is I recorded a whole thing. I went back and produced a television show.
Yeah.
And then I did it. You still have to do it live though. If you want to broadcast it live, you can. You go with your assets and that. And so I was showing your boy how to bookend it with stuff, and you have assets that you keep in the program, and it's really, there's a couple. Restream will give you all your different RTMPs where you can go to your YouTube channel, your Facebook channel, everything all at the same time. The good thing about Facebook is the notifications, right? So it's good about notifying you that it's live right now. So
yeah, we've been trying to build the YouTube, and it's complicated to get all across all the deals. I mean, you guys have the Source Media behind it, which he's helped me a lot too with getting my stuff into a live aspect, and
he's intense.
Yeah.
He's intense to deal with. He's not, he's gotten a lot of people have failed to meet their commitments with him, and I think that keeps him on edge a little bit,
It should.
So, unfortunately, that's the PTSD part of it. But
like I said the other day, man, the one thing that us men have in this industry is our word. We might all be rich people, rich customers, but your word's got to mean something. And
I think we're very rich.
And I think that when people say they're going to be at a show or they become an invited builder, it's like, and you say you're going to do it.
Yeah.
If you just show the fuck up, be there. You know what I mean? Like that. That's to me that means something. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Even if you don't do it good.
Right. And that's just with this industry. That's with everything. That's with family.
Yeah,
that's with friends. That's with everybody.
That goes back to kind of.
Dude, and that's like.
That's why we made it through 2012.
I remember being a kid. My dad told me the hardest thing is showing up.
Yeah.
So show the fuck up.
If you're there, you'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of which, I have to exit here pretty quick.
Well, if you want to roll out, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit more for a minute about some of the things that's gone on for the last couple of weeks, and kind of wrap. I mean, just get it to at least an hour and a half, and then we'll be good. So
okay, yeah, I'm gonna go down to the registration. I appreciate you.
No problem, man.
Making time, dude.
Now that he's gone, we can talk shit.
Yeah, we really feel. Make fun of his sneakers and his eyebrows.
Make fun of my sneakers and eyebrows. You guys do it too.
Do what?
You're that kind of friends.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Probably the two things you care most about besides motorcycles.
Low hanging fruit, bro.
Yeah, it's easy. Your kids. That goes without saying.
Yeah.
We'll see you down there.
Yeah, we'll be there in a minute. No, but the show, man, like I said, I understand how complicated it is to put that stuff on, and doing it weekly as well as getting all the assets in and making all that shit kind of work. It's definitely a team.
Oh, without a doubt. And like the technical difficulties, like if you lose, sometimes we lose one another during the show, and then we got to log back in and then fill the gap. You know what I mean? Because like you said, we have kind of an outline before we begin the show.
Yeah.
And if we have any technical difficulties,
with some of the interviews, do you ever find it kind of hard to? I think, like, the only way I can attest to this is when I did Callan's show, the Sunday show, back in February. It was like we started, like, I was kind of nervous coming on there.
Yeah.
I'm not really good at being interviewed, you know what I mean? Because I have a hard time, like, picking which not that they're all different versions, but how do I want to tell this story?
Correct.
The short, the long, the whatever.
What means the most to you? What's the most accurate?
And so you kind of get like, fuck, I got to get this out quick because I know we only got it this long.
X amount of time, yeah.
And some people are way better at telling that story in a very quick form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And already, we've had great interviews. We've had, all right interviews. So it's just some people are good, some people are bad. Some of the topics,
and then like through June, we had a big motorcycle trip, so we were kind of all doing that. But as soon as we got back from June, it was like the magazine was like
ready. Yeah,
we need this, and this.
Yeah.
And I think at first I was kind of annoyed. I was like, we could have been doing this already. But then as it kind of started, like, okay, we need this by Friday, and as more conversation started taking place about it, I got more excited about it.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And get the group chats with this. I need this asset. I need this, and then I feel like, oh shit, I have something to do now.
Yeah.
I need to go do this, and then it became like fun for me at least. I know it's probably sucks for Jason and those guys.
He was stressed. I get stressed. You know what I mean? It's just it's work. Mm-hmm. It is. But I think it's worth it. I think it fills a void. As far as the performance goes, mm-hmm. there was no magazine. There was the weekly show.
Yeah.
And I think it's with the team that we got involved. I think it's like a grassroots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's here for the bikes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's no egos, no, you know what I mean? It's just motorcycles.
I definitely, I was the problem child in the beginning of it, and I hate to say,
dude, the clubhouses, me and you, I can't remember what topic it was, but I'm like, oh, I don't agree with that, you know what I mean? And then you're like, yeah, and I don't want to say it was more of a misunderstanding, but I think just the way you verbalized it, and in my opinion of you, like, not that it was negative, you know what I mean? I thought you were just not cocky, but set in your ways.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think
and you still are to some extent.
I think that I learned something about myself that I've since tried to change. Is that I would have good questions or good things to bring up, but I did it in a very condescending way.
Correct.
And it came off like I already had made up my mind when I was more asking a question, but I was also. It's like I was trying to make a question and a point at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I kind of learned that about myself during that time, and that's ultimately why I was like, you know what? I could have asked it this way, and it wouldn't have came out that way, and then we could have. It was me. The one time we were defensive. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it was. I don't know if it was the delivery or.
It was for me, like when the whole beginning of it was like, fuck, man, like this is awesome that it's happening, but it's like, wait, who are you guys?
Yeah.
Like, it felt kind of like someone was coming in and taking.
Correct.
A little bit.
Yeah. And like I said, a lot, like when he was putting this together, we first talked about it Bike Week.
Yeah.
We talked about it very briefly at the Hardcore Show, and then even more at Willie's.
Yeah.
And I was definitely interested because it's what I'm about, So it was definitely a cool idea. But like I said, there was a lot of players that I didn't know. You being one of them, Mm-hmm. So like kicking the idea back and forth. But it was definitely, like you said, it was something that you wanted to dive into. But you're like, oh fuck, man, I don't know everybody in this pool.
Yeah, yeah, you're kind of worried. And like I said, ultimately, it's like. They wrangled it in. They dealt with. And like I said, this sprung because of egos. Because I know that my ego shone in that situation, and it took a while for me to back up. And I said it like this to one of my friends. I was like, I asked to be a part of it again, and I did it because, for one, I feel like it does have potential,
without a doubt.
And I do feel like Callan and Jason and all these dudes can make a good magazine.
Yep.
It might not be the magazine that I envisioned, but that's not to say that it's not a great magazine now. Yeah. So now that I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is badass.
Yeah, I was super impressed myself.
So, but then the lead up to it, I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm just nervous, Yeah. And but like I said, it came out great, and the articles that are in there, I haven't had a chance to read every one of them, but I've read a few so far, and it's awesome seeing the homies in print.
Correct.
We haven't had that.
Yeah. In ages. Yeah. In years.
The last real print magazine that had anything to do with this type of culture was Hot Bike, and you were getting 4-year-old content.
Yeah. Exactly.
In the last few issues.
Yeah.
So, now that it's here, it's like, fuck, that's tangible. You hold it,
It's like I said, it's definitely cool. I'm glad, I'm glad both of us stuck through it, because it was joyful.
Man, it's things like this, man. I feel like you kind of have to learn about yourself and how are you gonna, I've done well with doing my own thing, my own way.
Yeah.
And so finding out how do I work with a team.
Correct.
To do something.
All of us own our own business.
Exactly.
Everybody that's involved in it are business owners.
Yeah.
So we really don't answer to anybody.
Exactly.
So everybody answers to somebody in some in some form.
Fashion.
But as far as we make our own decisions. We do things. Everybody does trial and error.
Yeah.
If we fuck up, it's our own.
Yeah.
But here, like you said, it's being part of something a little bit bigger.
Yeah, and like trying to get out of my own way is what it was. I was like, you know what, man, I might wholeheartedly believe what I'm trying to do right now, but my vision, if I walk away from this now, I won't even be able to put that authenticity that I have been a part of into this. So rather than just taking it away and not having any of it represented in this magazine, I needed to put essentially my ego aside and learn how to follow directions from people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and even when he picks some interviewers, I'm like, do we really want to talk to that guy? You know what I mean? Not that there's anything personal or anything like that. It's just,
finding they have a way of finding, I guess because they're not so, and I'm gonna try to say this the right way. Like me and you are very immersed into this through Instagram and through all the stuff that goes on through that and the shows and the people that are involved in it. And so we have a plethora of people we feel like should be on that show.
Correct.
Right? But I understand what they're doing when they're trying to bring all these areas into one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because realistically, if you think about it, our scene is kind of like, it's kind of closed.
Closed.
You know what I mean?
It is.
And so while I know that they're going to bring people into the mix on the show and the magazine, it still is such a bigger industry that we've been kind of having blinders on ourselves, just focusing on the growth of our scene.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I get it. You know what I mean? It's that out of sight, out of context kind of situation.
Yeah. And some of it has to do with our comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're set in our ways. You know what I mean? I know what I think's cool. You know what you think's cool, and it was just.
I mean, I can hold court in a lot of different circles, but you put me in that industry show, and I barely say a word.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Same with me. I was over there the other night, and it was cool to see some of these people, and without a doubt, it was worth going though. I'm glad I went.
Yeah, I mean, I had a chance to hang out and talk with a lot of people, and I knew that bike that I painted was going to be in there, but seeing it in there was different than knowing it was going to be there. You know what I mean? So that was pretty surreal in a sense, but. There's this industry is so much bigger than this world that we've been operating in a sense, and not that what we have with social media and this group and all these people isn't fucking awesome.
Yeah,
but it's just so much more
broader.
It's so much broader, and there's a lot more mechanics that make everything work in the motorcycle industry, and getting involved with that is realistically the real way that we can implement what we've become good at, which is, you know what I mean, into that world. So I dig it, man. It's everybody needs a humble pie every once in a while.
And especially coming out here, there's so much. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like the industry night, stuff downtown. I'm like, holy fuck, you know what I mean?
That's a whole other world.
It is. It is. But I got a couple good people of Sturgis.
Oh, you did?
Dude, like, where do these people go like after this? You know what I mean? Some of these fucking
they go back and handle our bank accounts, and
I bet a lot of these people are probably fucking 9 to 5 or something. Like, holy fuck,
But when you think about like our scene in a sense, and then you go downtown or you're even just sitting in the traffic, you're like, man, like there are way more Kuryakin guys out there than HPI exhaust guys and shit like that,
Yeah.
And it's crazy that we've been able to have a decent living off of this small section of motorcycles.
Yeah, and it's what we love.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I just hope it continues to grow. You know what I mean?
I think it will. I mean, it's kind of a scary thing, like looking at. I'm not scared of it. I know it's going to evolve into something. There's definitely going to be more things coming into the performance side of the industry. It's good to have a show like yours that is kind of like the go-to.
Yeah.
Because, everybody's going to make a performance show now. Sturgis already has a bunch, and next year there's going to be one at every fucking corner.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
That now that the rest of the industry is coming into this or focusing their parts and their manufacturing into this.
Yeah. Well, I think the racing is going to push it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
The racing is going to push it big
Definitely.
time. And I've had conversations. Obviously with the Bagger Racing League, Moto America, it's they're not backing down from it. You know what I mean? It's both of them are full bore straight ahead with it.
It's going to be interesting, man.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be at the BRL. It looked fun. But I heard that they kind of didn't do as well as they had hoped. But that was the first time they'd ever done a race, and they, the Fight TV stuff, that was like not their first production, but there was a lot of new things going on there.
Correct.
And
they had a delay on when I obviously bought it, but the delay, like it would like repeat itself every 10 seconds or something. It was driving me crazy. But it was a solid race.
Yeah, I don't know if did they announce the next race yet at all? Because I thought they were going to do it at the Lichter party.
They were supposed to. But they're having issues with booking it for the rumor mill. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, because right now the rumor mill I have has them coming to pretty much Southwest Dallas.
Oh, no shit.
To the Crescent Motorcycle, or not? It's Motorsport Ranch is what they call it.
I heard rumors of Texas, and then I've heard rumors of Daytona for Biketoberfest.
That'd be wild. That'd be pretty short too. I think that next year is when you're really gonna, because they haven't announced the races. There's still a lot of people that like I know Steve Chamberlain right now is working on a race bike.
Yep. And
he might not even have the bike yet till September. So there's no way he's gonna get to build it.
Yeah.
For a September race or an October race. So, and there's a lot. Kudos to guys like him that brought his travel bike out there to race it. And I watched that race, and there were guys that I didn't like. Put like this, there was a lot of people that blew my mind racing and keeping up in the pack, or even staying in the front of the pack in a sense that I, not to say that I didn't know they could race or they could ride, but it was just like, oh shit, like
look at that,
yeah.
I was in the same, and to see them, even like the pro teams, the Harley and Indian, the stuff they're putting out.
I'm glad Harley, because there was a big stint about them backing out of all racing, but then they come out with these two bikes for the track, and it's like you already see parts, and they're like, man, can I get that?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, what you got any plans yet for the Road Glide?
Daytona, like your show.
Yeah.
I want to basically customize it to.
You doing the 131 again, or you?
I'm waiting on S&S because we want to do some stuff together. So my goal is to get with them and build a motor that's going to allow me to travel the way I want and have me some good reliable horsepower. Worst case scenario, if things don't work out there, then I'll just get a 131.
Yeah.
But right now I think everything's on par to go that direction, and I don't know what I do want to do a frame off, paint the frame, that kind of thing, and go through it all, but I just want to get it done. Right now I threw it together to come here, so it wasn't just a solid color and stuff like that, but I want to kind of come up with a paint job that my last one, I think I was talking about with Instav and Kyle, my last one really was a quick paint job as well, but it was me. It was what I fucking wanted.
Yeah, it was really cool.
This one was like a one night. I just sat there. I came up with the design. I'm like, fuck it, I'm running with it. The other one I designed and revised it over 6 months, and then finally was like, all right, it's happening now. So I'd already worked out a lot of kinks that. But
were you planning on selling the last one, or did you?
It was a spurt of the moment thing. I started. I had 58,000 miles on the bike, and I had just done a lot of work to it to get it all freshened up. Suspension, motor mounts, all different types of maintenance work done to it. And I realized, and the only thing I had to do once I sold it was do some touch up on the paint, right?
Okay.
So I just kind of threw it out there. Like, I've never sold a bike for $40,000+ before in my life, so I didn't think it was going to happen, and it did. And it went to a good guy, and everything got real quick because I only had a month to come up with another bike. So before I would go through with the sale, I had to hit up House of Harley, see if they can get me I really wanted a 2020, so I didn't have to deal with the new computer system and the traction control stuff.
Yeah.
And so they found me a bike, and it was in a price range I can afford. Had 200-something miles on it.
Okay.
So basically new.
No, yeah, that Green Road King we bought that with 700 miles on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was like one of those things that kind of like the timing of it really worked out.
So for me, I was like, all right, well, I can get the bike. Then I reached out to like Lucky Dave's and a couple people. I can ride a stock bike, no problem, but I need bars, I need an exhaust system, I need a seat, you know. So I had them look up the Bassani to see if there's any in stock anywhere. They said they can get one there in the day and have it thrown on the bike. I was like, do it.
Yeah.
Get the bike. Lucky Dave's came through with the bars and seat, which I didn't have them for the ride home. I rode it stock, like with just an exhaust system, which wasn't too bad, but my wrist
the
started
handlebars,
cramping.
the angle they're at, because I'm just so used to
a little bit less,
more aggressive stance. The way that they kick back like the old buckhorns, you know, they're just uncomfortable.
It was a fun.
And I swear they do that on purpose.
Yeah, they want you to get that shit.
They want you to buy fucking bars.
I was sitting up here waiting on you guys, and I saw a big wheel bagger roll by with some 14-inch T-bars on it.
No shit.
I was like, what?
Man, he's confused. He's kind of mixed.
It totally fucks up my theory of performance baggers. Someone could easily take a picture of that and go, well, what about this one, Chase?
Yeah, what about this? Oh, fuck, I'm going to have to find it.
It's good. It's a gray one. You'll see it. But yeah, I want to build something else, and this is the first time in my life where I actually own this bike now. So I've usually built bikes and rode them so much and into the ground that I would have to part them out, as opposed to sell them as a completed bike. And so by having this bike, the other one's still in really good condition and operating well with low miles on that motor that was in it. I was able to get the money out of it, buy this bike, and now I can kind of get into a situation where I'm going to build this bike, and I'm going to ride it next year, and then after Sturgis, I'm going to sell this one and then start over. That way, I don't have to repaint the bike every year.
Correct.
Because the other one, I had 2 different paint jobs on it to keep it fresh and keep it interesting for the world to see. But it's like the same thing, man. Like I don't want to build a bike and then never touch it and then try to sell it. I want to build it and have fun on it, and then let someone else have fun on it. You know exactly. What I mean? So I should have less than 20,000 miles on it by the time.
And the way we operate, we need a project.
You have to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially to build our relationships, you know what I mean, with all the manufacturers, and to stay current.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because people are, people come to us for our opinions on A, B, and C. You know what I mean? Well, I haven't seen that. I haven't done this. That's not an option.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to stay current. And that's so.
My last bike was dialed for me. I could do thousands of miles on that bike, no problem. Feel great. This one is getting there, you know, but I'm trying things differently on this bike to have a different opinion. So I am doing Legends on this one instead of Öhlins.
Okay.
And I've definitely, I got to put my foot in my mouth a little bit because I've been very vocal about why people should probably just go to Öhlins. But I'm at a point now where it's like, okay, well, I saw Tony Tucker on that racetrack with Legends kicking ass. So I'm like, well, maybe my theory is bad. So let me try Legends out and see how I feel about it.
What do you think of them so far?
I haven't gotten them yet.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Tomorrow morning I get them, and then I was planning on heading west and seeing. I don't know how far west. I wanted to go to the coast, but I just want to do a big loop and just get some riding and maybe some more podcasts done before I head back to the house.
Back home.
I'm trying to do some new things on it. That's why I wanted to do I've proven that the 131 crate engine fucks. It goes hard, right?
It does.
And I've had so many arguments with people. Because they're like, I've seen 100 of them blow. I was like, have you seen crate engines blow, or have you seen kits blow?
Yeah.
So the kit, the common denominator is somebody put that on there.
Yeah, exactly.
So it might be a good kit, bad install.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to have failures. You know what I mean? Without it, you know what I mean? As long as they're 1-2% failures, we're good.
Yeah. People can still go.
But but you said a lot of it's mechanics driven. A lot of it's.
Yeah. So what about you? Are you going to build something for?
Dude, I got 2 things right now. One of them I think I just sold yesterday, so it's not even together. So I have like an orange and black FXR that 124 S&S. I got Legends rear. I'm a huge fan of Legends. I mean? Unless you're on the racetrack, they're perfect for you.
That's what I'm hoping to find out.
You know what I mean? It's and what's I was leery at first, but after thousands and thousands of miles and multiple motorcycles, they've held true.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I wanted to try them out, and just to have a real opinion about it.
Yeah, we sell hundreds of sets, and people are like, oh, they fail. You know, we do have failures. You know what I mean? But at the percentage that they're at, it's way more than
it's the same. You know the whole story behind why green bikes have a bad rap.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the percentage of them.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know about that, look it up. There's a nice story behind that.
Yeah, the
green bikes are bad luck. So, but so you're gonna build that.
And that I got a 98-inch S&S made 98-inch Sportster engines.
Oh shit!
For a while, so I stumbled upon one of those. It was in fact I got an FXR and a Sporty for cheap. A dude wanted a panhead. Had, you know what I mean, these bikes he needed to sell that day. Called me. I said, yeah, I'll take them. So I just got that frame back from Powder Coat. So that's probably going to be my Daytona, for Daytona next year.
So, I mean, obviously this year for Sturgis, it was still the skinny tire bagger build-off thing, but it felt like, there wasn't the same hype as it was for the Daytona.
And that partly falls on me because, you know, I mean, with this year's fucked as far as parts go.
Yeah.
So, like, my business is normally much more fluid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now, I got to handle things 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If an order comes in with 5 or 6 different items, it's not, okay, done. You know what I mean? I got to see where this one's at. You know what I mean? Like,
find out which warehouse has it, things like that.
Yeah, not only that, when it's coming in.
Yeah. What's the back order?
I spent, a shit ton of money a couple years ago and mimicked Amazon's fulfillment.
Yeah.
So if you order from our website, it goes, you know what I mean, from the closest warehouse to your house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, regardless of what cost, you know what I mean, if I got to do 4 separate shipments, it does 4 separate shipments. You get your parts fast. The problem is that, like, because of the supply and demand this year, that's fucking blown out of the water.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a lot more back end work, just keeping up with just getting everybody their shit as fast as possible. Our website updates inventory every 4 hours, and even then, because if something comes in, everybody's buying all of them because they don't know when they're coming in again.
Exactly. I've heard about that. People buy, 50 sets or 50 primary gaskets.
Yeah,
it's on back order now.
Yes.
So,
and that's the same thing. Like, I got thousands. You know what I mean? I normally don't have thousands on back order. I have to have thousands on back order. You know what I mean? So I get the Saddlemans. I get the Memphis Shades Road Warriors. I'll have 20 of them come in. And no mounts. You know what I mean? So there I got $6,000 sitting.
Yeah.
Until, the mounts come in a month later. So it's just this year is just way different, you know what I mean? But we're gonna do a big push for the next. We want like, that's like a working man's class bagger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't my idea originally. I don't know if it was Steve or Dave from White Trash Alley. I don't know who.
I don't know for sure, but I want to say that I remember talking on a podcast with Steve, and it was something that him and Charlie Rocks were doing for Daytona, and then or something like that, and then it kind of spiraled into a legit competition. Which there was a lot of good hype. I mean. Steve had a lot to do with the hype because he was doing the YouTube going with it, and then the orange. I really like the orange bike that was built. I don't know who built it. I feel bad. It was it's like an orange paint job, like the Screaming Eagle old school orange paint job.
Dude, I used that.
That one for the.
I used that for my ad.
That bike was sick.
Dude, for the magazine ad, most of the advertising I do myself. For the magazine ad, I gave it to this guy named Matt Lester, who's he's a biker, you know what I mean, but he's a big time ad guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I gave him like 150 pictures, and dude, that's the one he picked, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, we kind of want that to be like an ongoing thing, even if it's a guy's second bike or wheelie bike.
What you should probably do, I'm just throwing this out there, is that maybe you should pick something like the skinny tire bagger build off every year is the Daytona show, and another type of bike is for the because it'd be they're only 6 months apart.
Exactly, close. Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and it'll drive people to go to Daytona and things like that. I mean, the show can only get bigger from this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're for sure like next year skinny tire bagger build off.
Yeah, we're gonna do a big push for that for March. Yeah. And that gives like the people from the East Coast and Northeast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those bikes, man. Like I think they look dope. I mean, some of the bikes that came out of there, once they're all cleaned up and you get all the fucking ape hangers off of it and all that, you know.
And the guys bought them for cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah.
They're spending on the bike, and Steve's was the perfect one.
Yeah. It's fucking anniversary edition one.
Yeah.
But the good thing for everybody out there looking that's wanting to get into the performance bagger stuff, there's so many models out there. I mean, not even just the skinny tires, like
all of them.
The 09s to 13 and 14 or 13s, like
they're affordable now.
You can get those for cheap, man.
Dude, and those twin cams, that window of twin cams, they're bulletproof.
Yeah.
And if you keep it either the 96, depending on the year, if you keep it the 96 or the 103, you can still rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With minor headwear, cams, good tune.
Yeah, I had my big wheel was a 2012. I put about 60,000 miles on that bike. Solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah,
all I had was some Woods cams in there.
Yeah.
And that thing ran like a motherfucker.
Yeah. And they go. They rock and roll, and it's still affordable.
Yep. There's a lot of bikes out there. I think that's one thing about the social media is that social media from Facebook to now exposed that there's a bike and a price range for everybody. You know, it's not just the rich people that can go put down a brand new deposit on a bike. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I flipped my way up from an auctioned Gixxer 1000. I flipped that into an 02. I flipped that into an 04, into an 07, and that into a Road Glide, and then a Road Glide into a 2012 Road Glide. And then that one I just kind of lost my ass on that. So I started over with an FXR. So it just kind of
funny how that goes, yeah.
But yeah, that's I don't know, man. Like I think the build thing gives people purpose to do something. Because I mean, you know, when you say invited builder to something and someone invites you, I know personally from people that get invited that really want the opportunity.
Yeah.
And they really bust their ass. Like Justin at Hingham High Customs is one of the guys that busted his ass for the for Jason's Wheels of Steel show, and he built a fucking badass little sporty chop in a month.
Yeah.
Or less, I think. So, you know, when you start putting these things together, like, what better way to expose like building something when you have a price cap like 14 grand and everybody's working within the same. It's like being in the same class of a race, right?
Yes, exactly.
Now it's just creativity.
It's a level playing field. It's creativity.
How does it work if like a painter was to do it? It's like, because I mean, like, say if you're a motor builder, right, and you build your motor, I mean, you have to, you know, the cost of the parts.
Correct.
So wouldn't it just be maybe the cost of the paint?
It would be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. Speaking deadlines, did you see the FXR?
Which one?
Bare Knuckle Paul.
I saw it at the FXR show.
Dude, that thing was insane.
He did it quick too.
He did it. Yeah. He did it incredibly quick.
Yeah, that bike and the Speed Dealer bike, which I think the Speed Dealer bike he's been working on for a while now, but there was some FXR heat this year, dude.
There was. The Speed Dealer, he won Best of Show at our thing yesterday.
Yeah.
So that thing, you know, an FXR under 500 pounds.
Wow.
You know what I mean? With everything they had going, it was absolutely.
All right, hold on. He's
absolutely
back.
killer. Stop talking about him.
But yeah, no, they brought some heat with the FXRs this year, which was, you know, like, the FXR goes through a wave, right?
It does. I was just about to say that. Peaks and valleys.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yes, I do agree to that, but I would say it goes through a stylistic wave, right? Because we went from, when I built mine, I felt like a lot of people were painting them heavily.
Yeah.
Like custom paint, things like that.
Yeah, the metal flake.
And then it went through like this phase of legit like OG style paint jobs, and everybody was nerding out on police bikes and things like that. And then now I feel like you're getting a couple of these bikes, like the Ramjet one, like the Speed Dealer one, like Bare Knuckle Paul's. Yeah. There was another one, I don't know who built it, that was like silver, that was at the FXR show. And it was like a silver and gray. It had like a more modern style paint job, but twin cam, 120R motor. Just sick as fuck. And I mean, cleanliness. People are fucking machining things and making mounts and doing a lot of nice stuff with these things.
Yeah, it's impressive. I don't think the FXR is going away, though.
It's definitely not. Yeah, for sure. I just like how it course corrects itself in a sense.
Correct. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't need a ambassador to be like, no, that's gay now.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like,
no,
we're
it
over
just
that.
goes,
Let's go this way now.
Yeah.
You know? So that's awesome.
And the other thing is, it's not. And this is probably due to Instagram too. It's not like regional like it used to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you see the same performance
the same
trend.
style. Yeah, everybody's connected.
And it just goes nationwide fast.
Dude, the performance bagger thing is a crazy one to me, because when we went northeast on our trip, we had so many dudes rolling up to hang out with us from all parts of North Carolina, Virginia, up in the Boston area, the New England area, and it was like fucking really nice bikes, like rad, really badass ones, and there's the shit's everywhere. I've been in the middle of middle of Illinois, headed to Chicago, pulled over to get gas one day, and in there was a dude with T-bars on a road glide, traveling from some place to another place, that had no idea about my brand, none of that shit. He just
saw a cool bike.
He's just like, man, I have an FXR, and people started putting these bars on this bike, and I was like, fuck yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. So, but yeah, Dynas though, what's up with those guys?
You were making some jokes yesterday, huh?
Yeah, I was. Joe from Michigan had the orange bike.
Yes.
And one of their buddies had the black bike that won, and then my buddy Tony brought his blue Dyna in there with the full.
I thought that was the winner. I thought that was going to win.
If he would have watched it.
It was a little dirty.
So Tony, we were all joking. He was going to do the Arkansas. I don't know what they called it. Where basically when they lose a show, they throw a temper tantrum. Did you hear him?
Yeah, I heard him. Dude, that's like the big wheel bagger show in Daytona.
Yeah.
That they do the radios.
Yeah.
So like if they blast their radios like when they don't win, I'm like, holy fuck.
That shit's so funny. But yeah. I made the comment. I was like, we should have just not gave anybody a trophy and said, do better next time.
Year. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Dyna class. There weren't many entries.
Is there people building Dynas anymore? That's the real question.
There are, and people are still the Dyna. There's diehard Dyna guys.
Maybe that's what needs to be to keep Dynas alive. We need to have a Dyna build
specific. Yeah, that could happen. Maybe Biketoberfest.
Yeah,
it's kind of tight though.
It is a tight one for this one.
It's a tight one, yeah.
But it does make sense for every show that you do to maybe have a different
specific
type of bike.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, because that gives the time to spread it out, and it gives a guy a year to concentrate on.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Right now, especially with limited budget, that's.
I take that back, because there's a dude up in the Pacific Northwest that's building one of the most killer Dynas ever right now. I forget, it's like Levictus or something like that.
Yes,
the carbon one where he re-raked the neck and made it
he de-raked it, and then the motor mount,
it's hard mount
separate. Yes, yeah.
I'm painting that one.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh no shit.
Waiting on the gas tank, and then I get to start on it. But yeah, that Dyna I think is going to be one of the ones that's pretty unique.
Yeah.
Before that, it was Big Trouble's Dyna.
Yes.
From Florida down there. And then Pop's Garage has always had some really clean ass Dynas.
They always do. Same with FXRs, even sporties. Yeah. Some of the performance sporties they put out are beyond impressive.
Yep. So I think that the Dyna, I don't know. I was hoping to see more of that this year, because I haven't seen that many Dynas. Period. Even in the FXR show, it didn't have a whole lot of Dynas in there. So.
We should fucking scroll way back and do like the Dyna isn't dead. You know what I mean? fuck you're a softie. We should start going back like 2 years and screen shooting that.
Bringing those back. Dude, those are definitely some memes you should do with some of yourself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. There's been a lot of Sturgis this year. Well, this is your first Sturgis, right?
It is.
So what do you think about it?
It's definitely more spread out than what I thought, and I like it, and I'll definitely be coming back.
You have a bike out here with you right now?
I got a Dyna and the Indian Challenger. Mm-hmm. So I got.
Wait, I'm gonna say so.
It's a super clean Dyna.
Yeah.
It started off as a switchback.
Okay.
So it's been because we wanted the hard bags for the for trips
moving around.
Yeah. So it's got the.
Have you been to all the areas like the Dead Woods and the Hill Cities and shit?
I haven't. I went out to Black Hills Harley one day, and then the 2 days I was with the FXR show and our show, we were up the Chip.
Yeah. And the Black Hills Harley's pretty wild, man. It's like if you go on a little horsepower road right there.
Yeah.
You got D&D and fucking HPI and Thunder Max and then
Hoffman, Trask. Yeah. That's I I was impressed by that. They put, I don't know if that was planned.
I don't know if it was either, but
It was cool how they put everybody together.
It gives you like a for us, it's been like we're good with all those people right there. So it's like when we go there, instead of parking in the fucking field of bikes, we're like, oh, I'm getting exhaust put on real quick, and we just scroll right up to the booth.
Yeah.
And
I hope they mimic that for Daytona.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where when they put everybody.
It's funner because then everybody's hanging out, and they're all.
It's more social.
They're all each other's customer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, you can like fuck, because I was this close. I know you can't see it listening, but I was this close to buying some fucking carbon fiber parts for my bike because I'm like, fuck, man, how much is that? God damn, it would look so good on my bike right now. Yeah. Same thing with HPI's pipe. You know what I mean? Like his pipes have they've grown on me. I didn't like them at first. Nothing bad about them. I know that they fucking perform, but you know, I come from that Royal T era of stainless steel where it has more of that GP look. Yep. And I still love that, but now seeing, everybody rocking the HPI pipes, I'm like starting to grow on me.
What about the new Sawickis?
I like them.
So do I.
I used to be very vocal about that brand on this podcast because I didn't like the it sounds gay to say it, but I didn't like that they would use like these big titty models to promote their t-shirts and not, you know what I mean? Like it had nothing to do with the exhaust
systems.
I didn't
understand. A lot of the pages that do that, I don't understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because the only audience you're creating is people looking at the titties.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. But
supposedly Sawicki's new owners,
they are. Yeah.
It's all professional now.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I still, so like when I get one of their exhausts in, I post, it's super fucking clean. Mm-hmm. So I post a picture of it, and then I get getting the comments. I paid for an exhaust 2 years ago, and I'm like, well, DM me, we'll try to get you, we'll try to get you straight. And the new owner, I forget what it's a funny fucking, for the guys that get fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I got fucked by Sawicki, you know what I mean? And then a number for the code. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they recognize, that there were fucking major issues. Yeah. And the new owner knew that buying it, you know what I mean? And he's in the process of cleaning it up. And
that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to speak to those guys yesterday. I didn't know if they were the owners.
Yeah. The dude sitting over there was the owner. Solid guy. I deal with him probably like once a week on different things.
Nice.
I had a end cone blow off on one I sold years ago, and dude made it right within like 3 days.
Nice.
So you can't, that's the same with Legends. When something goes wrong with Legends, dude, it's fixed in under a week. And it's not frequent. You know what I mean? But that makes a big. That makes if something goes wrong with a part, it's such a fucking headache.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dealing, just trying to
back
get it
squared
back and forth.
Yep.
And it's so if the manufacturer makes it easy, you know what I mean,
makes it easy to be the salesman for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. I know that a lot of exhaust companies have been making the push for like creating mid-control, compliant exhaust systems for baggers, and since there's no like industry standard in mid-controls yet, it makes it very hard for them to make an exhaust system because they all have different mounting.
Yes, exactly.
Which, if Harley was to make one, which I think it'd be really complicated for them to make one. Yeah. Because it's such a small niche.
It is.
Group. But yeah, the exhaust game I think is in the next year we're gonna have even better. It'd be nice to see some of the bigger brands kind of coming and making exhaust systems that kind of fit the style of bikes that we ride right now. Yeah. And that's something I've been talking with Rusty at D&D about. I was like, dude, you got some of the most power making exhausts out there. Like, now let's get a cool looking one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Was he open to it?
He's still hard headed, but I think I'm going to keep pushing on him, and I think we're going to get it to happen because I want to rock a Texas made exhaust system.
That makes sense.
I just needed to. My bike's. I need it to look good. I want to walk out and be like, fuck, can't wait to ride. I love the way I feel on this bike, and exhaust systems can make or break that for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so. A lot of us don't want to run super long exhaust systems because when you start raising the rear suspension, it hits the exhaust. So short exhaust systems, while you do lose horsepower, have a place. And
at this point, performance-wise, they should be taking that into play.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. With the reduction of length, you know what I mean. They should
maybe narrowing out the pipe somehow.
Correct, exactly.
Making a different shape.
Exactly, some type of cone that allows back pressure to keep the performance. So
it's just things like that. But I mean, to to Rusty at D&D's defense, he's selling thousands of pipes. So he doesn't feel like he's losing business and need to rebrand.
Yeah. Dude,
But,
look how busy he is over there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Fucking slinging pipes all day
Yeah.
long. You get some one margarita and they get fucked up. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, run my card.
Yeah, exactly. But dude, that whole performance row was way busier than I anticipated.
Yeah. So you haven't had a chance to go through like Deadwood or any of those yet?
We're doing that Thursday.
It'll probably be good because I think things really start to die off here after Wednesday.
Okay.
Like the bikes start to head home.
Yeah.
Because usually I think that the best time to be here is Thursday to Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday.
That's what I ended up doing.
Yeah. That's the best time to be here. And you can still ride on Thursday.
Yep.
If you get in here, you go right to it.
Yeah.
But then you got the partying on the weekend, the shows on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's a tough one.
How many years is this for you coming out?
This is my 7th, and
Okay.
it would have been my 8th, but in a row. But I missed 18. I had a bad year in 18, so couldn't make it and kicked myself in the ass because it would have been
just business wise or personal.
Man, 18 was like the best year of my life, but with the worst circumstances.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it was just one shit show after another. That was the year that we started the podcast in 18. And then that was the first year that our helmet stuff started blowing up. So I didn't really know how to manage that influx of work.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of issues with being very backed up, which stresses me out to get things to customers.
Things done.
And then I wrecked my first wreck in a car my entire life. I rear-ended somebody, so my fault.
Yeah.
And then that was the month before Sturgis, but I sold my first performance bagger in May and was going to buy another bike, and then the wreck happened, so I had to spend some of that money to fix the van.
Car, yeah.
And then I had picked up a $2,400 Dyna, and I was like, fuck it, I got to get this Dyna done. Well, I didn't get it done for Sturgis, but then I sold that Dyna in September to somebody in Washington and bought my last bagger.
Okay.
And then I got audited by the IRS right after that. And then I sold the van and bought I'd always wanted an Acura TL, the newer body style ones. So I found one, bought it, and wrecked it on the way home. Second wreck of my entire life. So I was carless for about a month, and then I sold my TIG welder because I was really trying to learn how to TIG weld and stuff. I sold my TIG welder, all this other shit, got it done, and then I had an issue with the title and couldn't get the car registered. So I had basically $12,000 wrapped up in a car that I couldn't drive or anything.
Holy
and then
shit.
and then I had to kind of rebuild. 19 was a great year though.
Yeah.
And then 20 has been great, and 21 hasn't disappointed yet. So 18 though, that's the one.
That was the one that got you.
Yeah, a lot of firsts. I mean, the podcast, the camp out, that was the first for those.
Now, last year, business wise, that didn't affect you at all.
No, fortunately, ever since we kind of, I haven't really hurt in business in a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Paint work has always been steady and in demand. And we've been working on being better every year. So,
well, that's with me. I put everything back into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people are like, oh, how'd you go? Yeah, because like I started in 2013, but I wasn't full time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So 2015, I did the corporation, did all that, and I just been fucking hammering it.
Yeah.
You know. So, but people are like, I just put everything.
You have to, man.
Back into it. You know.
And I mean, that's what we did with the podcast. With every dime we made, that helped make the studio, made the equipment better, get the cameras, and first 3 years, like, we really didn't make dick.
Yeah.
And then now it's like we use the income that we get from that to do things like Sturgis, to do things like
cover
trips, and cover all the expenses that we need to kind of create the content for the podcast. So it's complicated,
Yeah.
Same thing with paint. I mean, fuck, you got to paint a couple bikes to get the tools you need to do the paint job. So, but I'm excited. I've said this to a lot of people. I'm excited to see your brand and many others in this industry in 10 years and 15 years and 20 years.
Yeah.
When we're the guys at the industry party that young
Like,
people are like, hey, man,
look at that. Yeah.
dude,
I seen that.
John, dude. I love your memes.
Yeah. The memes are wild. You know what's wild is like I could post the fucking coolest bike.
Yeah.
But if I post a fucked up meme, it's like,
Those go viral though.
Dude, they do. They really do. It's like fucking, the amount of people, like, I have fucking more memes shared than liked. You know what I mean? Like, I'll get like 1,800 likes and 3,000 shares. I'm like, that's fucking wild,
But it's an angle though, because I mean, it's just, a lot of companies do the meme thing, but it helps drive business. You know what I mean?
It does.
And content is what it's about.
And not only that, it's personal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've had the conversation with that John that runs Dynaholics, and you know what I mean, different people. You know what I mean? Because the memes, like, it gives a personal touch to you know what people think is. You know, I mean, people are like, oh, your business is huge. I'm like, no, it's fucking 4 of us. You know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My friends help me. My family helps me. It's a family shop. You
Small
know,
business.
Yeah.
So where are you at in PA?
Right outside of Philly.
Right outside of Philly.
Yeah, right outside of Philly.
Damn, you're East Coast.
Yeah. People always like, where are you from? Your accent. I'm like,
yeah, you got that New York kind of accent.
Yeah. The Philly accent.
Are you from there originally?
I'm from Philly originally. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So, but
I haven't had a chance to go through Philly yet. We tried to go through there this year, but when we left Baltimore, there was a storm coming across, so we had to haul ass to New York.
Yeah, to get ahead of it.
And we made it to New York, and then it dumped for the rest of the night. So we wanted to stop and eat an OG Philly cheesesteak, man.
Oh, you gotta,
dude.
You gotta.
I'm not
the best sandwiches in the world.
Yeah,
I'd probably be fucking skinny if it wasn't for the sandwiches. Really.
I'd be skinny if it wasn't for beer. But yeah, that's on the list, man. I do enjoy going east. You get up there in the New England area, it gets so tight. So
Dude, the traffic.
Yeah,
the traveling from the time, like, if I leave, riding, and like it's a Thursday or Friday, like going up to Boston or you know what I mean, somewhere in New England, it's 400 miles, 500 miles for us. I could be 900 miles to Jacksonville. You know what I mean? In the amount of time, just because of the traffic, the accidents, it's just, it's, you know what I mean?
And everything's a toll road.
Everything's a toll road. You know what I mean? If one road closes, the other road's just fucked.
Yeah. That shit's wild.
Yeah.
Well, we got to do some more podcasts, man.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I'd love to come down and see you,
dude. Anytime, man. All right, dude. You catch a flight, man. You got a couch to sleep on or a bed to sleep on. We got a bed, so yeah, get people down, man. That's kind of the goal. I know it's tough here at Sturgis. Everything. I mean, we're trying to go downstairs to start this Torque
performance show. Yeah.
So we were trying to fit this in to get something out of this, but because I didn't know when I'd be able to get you and Jason together in one time again.
Yeah.
But thank you for doing this shit.
Oh, man. No problem. Like I said, I'll definitely come.
Yeah, dude.
Come visit you.
If you can, dude, come like a month before the Daytona show.
Okay.
That way we can use the podcast to kind of generate some hype for it.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll probably do the skinny tire bagger push again then. Like I said, this year we put it in the class, and Doug from Daytona won it with his, you know what I mean? He tortures that bike.
Yeah. That dude's he's a class act for sure. Can you, if you already own a skinny tire bagger,
you can. You use book value.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That could hurt you a little bit.
It could. No, a lot of the
book values, at least in that $5,000.
Yeah, $4 or $5,000 range.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? And a lot of like your favorite thing, you know what I mean? A lot of them got apes on them now, so it's kind of like starting fresh anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With how it's how it's structured.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, cool. All right, let's go do the show.
Cool.
Thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back again soon.
All right. Take it easy.
I want to thank those guys for doing the podcast, John, Hardcore Cycles, and Jason from so many things. Jason's got his hand in everything. Proud of you getting this magazine going, sir, and thank you for including me in it. I know I can be difficult. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast. We're going to try to jam out some more this month. Sturgis was a tough one. We didn't get a chance to get really any podcasts done, and it's really hard to do any podcasts in Sturgis, so sometimes it's not even worth trying. But if you want to support the podcast, you can do so by checking our Patreon, which I actually just released kind of a solo conversation I had with myself on the Patreon, talking about the travel home from Sturgis and the random things that went through my head while on the bike. So kind of a new thing I'm trying to work on and kind of polish. So if you want to check it out, patreon.com/FastLifeGarage, and you can do that by being you can check it out by being a donator, a donor, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you feel comfortable supporting this podcast with, and you can check out all that extra content that we drop in there. We'll be back here pretty soon. I think Friday of this week we'll be doing a podcast with all the boys and recapping Sturgis, and then I'm gonna have to bust my ass to get 3 more podcasts done this month for you guys. So, yeah, enjoy this one, and we'll be back as soon as we can with some more. Take care.